Ezekiel made this feat. Ezekiel made this feat.
Hey, shalom Israel, shalom, shalom, shalom Israel. Glad you could join us, glad you could join us. It's time for Iron Sharpens Iron Fridays. Again, it's Deacon Shema Ariah. I got my brother Deacon Abiel Malachi on the tech booth. Shalom, bro. How you doing? How you doing?
Hey, shalom, Deek, Most High in Christ. Blood, shalom, Israel. Happy Sabbath to you all. I hope you all are ready for this class Deacon is about to bring out.
All praises, all praises. Yep, I hope y'all are ready. All right, today's class is the true origins of birthdays. The true origins of birthdays. This is something we're going to discuss. I know in the prior weeks we were going over the letters of Paul, but I wanted to take a break from that. I'm going to pick back up with the letters of Paul, 1 Corinthians. I haven't forgotten about that. But I want to address the true origins of birthdays, all right? Reason being is, we've got brothers and sisters, Abia, that are just coming into the truth. They're coming out of the world or living as society standards say, and not really living according to the Bible. And they may have been celebrating their birthday. They may be 25, 26, 30, 40, 50, 60, 15, 13, different ages. They're celebrating their birthdays. So I really want to edify them, give them some history, brief history about birthdays. We're going to go about what the Bible says about birthdays. And we're going to go about the history behind birthdays and how we're not supposed to be celebrating these things. Just like we will go against Christmas, just like we would bring out, the true origins of Easter, true origins of New Year's, things of that nature. We got to begin to speak about birthdays as well because, being that we live in a social media age, right, Abiel? You'll be on Facebook, different social media platforms, and it may have your birthday posted up there. You know what I'm saying? And you've got friends, some in the truth, some in the world. And what happens when your friends in the world find out it's your birthday on Facebook? You in the truth. What they do, Abiel?
Oh, they're going to send you happy birthday.
They going to send you happy birthday.
Yeah, they're going to put it all on your wall, things like that. I don't even have mine on my social media, so.
Right. So they'll send it, they'll send these shout outs, and you got to do one or two things. You either just got to ignore it and act like you didn't see it, or you got to address it and let them know, hey, I don't celebrate my birthday. Or if you're not built up spiritually enough or you don't have that proper understanding, you'll fall into that trap and, be like, yeah, it is my birthday. And yeah, I do like these birthday shout outs and birthday wishes and things of that nature. All right, so we're going to go over it. Share this class, share this class, share this class, share this class. Everybody knows somebody that's in the world that's still celebrating their birthday. Some of y'all may know some people that's in the truth celebrating their birthday. We're going to go over some history about it, all right? So, husbands, grab your wives. Wives, grab your husbands. Children of you of age, grab your parents. Parents, grab your children. They need to be a part of this so they can understand about birthdays, all right? Get your favorite food. Get your favorite beverage. If the sun is down where you're at, make sure that you're not cooking anymore. As the scriptures tell us not to cook on the Sabbath, all right? So let's get ready. Proverbs chapter 27 and verse 17, all right? Iron sharpeneth iron, so a man sharpeneth the countenance of his friend. So the same way you use iron to sharpen iron is the same way a man or a woman can sharpen the countenance, the spirit of their friend. All right, we're supposed to be able to go into this Bible and build each other up. So if I, ask you, hey, how was your week going? And you say, man, Deacon, my week was rough. I should be able to go into this Bible, give you some encouragement, give you some scriptures to build you up. If you say your week was great, I should be able to go into this Bible and give you some things to help you double down on that and continue that momentum. All right. So Abiel, how was your week, brother? How was your week?
My week was good. Not too bad. Had the last 3 days off. Just taking care of my body.
Okay.
Had a few back issues, but yeah, for the most part, my week was good. How about yourself?
Week's good. Week's good. Work wasn't too busy. A little. It was better than last week. I can say that. So we kind of closing out on the job we on. You know how that is in construction. Kind of starts getting slow. Not as far as the work, but we just tying up a little loose ends here and there. Family's doing good. So no complaints on that. All right. Let me send a couple shout outs. Hey, Shalom, Sis Ivory. We got Sis Tammy, Sis Lauren. Where my brother's at? Sis Guinevere. Okay. Sis Joshiba. Okay. All praises. I'm glad y'all could join us. All right, so let's get started. All right. I want to start with Colossians chapter 2, verse 8. All right. The book of Colossians chapter 2, verse 8. This is in the New Testament. All right. Colossians chapter 2, verse 8. All right. It says, beware, lest any man spoil you through philosophy and vain deceit, after the traditions of men, after the rudiments of the world, and not after Christ. So Paul is telling those in the church of Colossae to beware of the vain philosophies of men, right, and the traditions of man. Beware of those. Beware of philosophies of men. Beware of their traditions, all right? Don't follow after those things. You need to follow after Christ, all right? So if Paul is telling us in the book of Colossians to beware, lest any man spoil me, he's going to defile you. He's going to destroy your mind through his philosophy and his vain deceit, after his traditions, and after the rudiments of the world, meaning the basic, undeveloped or imperfect form of the world. Don't follow after that. Follow after the perfection of Christ. Follow after the things that Christ told you to follow after. Let's not get caught up in following these vain traditions of men. What is one of those traditions that we're going to speak about right now? We're going to speak about the tradition of celebrating your birthday. That's a vain tradition of man. Right? Vain tradition of man. All right, so let's get the definition of rudiment. All right? Rudiments is a mere beginning, first slight appearance, or an undeveloped or imperfect form of something. All right? So remember, Paul said don't follow after the rudiments of the world. Don't follow after the undeveloped or imperfect form of the world. What are those things that are imperfect? The vain traditions of man. Because what? We're, in our carnal mindset, in us being carnal men, Abiel, we're imperfect. The only way we reach that level of perfection is by taking on the mind and the spirit of God. Be ye therefore perfect, as your Father in heaven is perfect. We're trying to reach to a level of perfection. So in our imperfection, we'll come up with these vain traditions. And we begin to follow these things that it's not what God set up for us to do. It's what a man says, this is how I see fit. I want to run things like this. I want to do it like this. Y'all got to follow after this. Paul said don't do that. Don't get caught up in these vain traditions. One of these vain traditions is birthdays. The origin of these birthdays come from worshiping various other gods. And we're going to find that out as we go on. All right. So what is the tradition of birthdays in the modern day? What are the traditions of birthday in the modern day? All right. So it says, in many parts of the world, an individual's birthday is celebrated by a party where a specially made cake, usually decorated with lettering, and the person's age is presented. So on a typical birthday, right? You have a party, they'll have a cake, it may have your name, it may have your age, it may be decorated to whatever you like. If you liked Power Rangers back in the day, you had Power Rangers on your cake, you had your age on your cake, and they presented it to you, right? You sat at the table, and they presented it to you. It says it's usually decorated with lettering, and the person's age is presented. The cake is traditionally studded with the same number of lit candles as the age of the individual. So I want y'all to take notes on some of these things the descriptions that they're giving about a birthday, right? You're going to get a cake, all right? And on that cake is going to have candles. But I'm going to get them, Abiel, because you know what Israel's going to do? They're going to take notes of what I'm describing, Abiel, and then they're going to say, well, what if I have my birthday without a cake? That's how we do. We watch it. We try to get around it any kind of way we can, all right? The cake is traditionally studded with the same number of lit candles as the age of the individual, or a number of candle representing their age. The celebrated individual will usually make a silent wish in an attempt to blow out the candles in one breath. So who all on here, when you were young, maybe some of y'all still do this now as adults. They tell you, here's your candle. It's got all here's your cake with all your candles on it. Make a wish, but don't tell nobody. You make this silent wish, and then you blow out the candles, and you hope your wish came true. Take that down as a note. All right? It says, will usually make a silent wish in an attempt to blow out the candles in one breath. If successful, a tradition holds that the wish will be granted. In many cultures, the wish must be kept secret or it won't come true. So there's many cultures where they say, hey, if you tell anybody what you wish for, it's not going to come true. All right, so these different cultures that say that. It says, presents are bestowed on the individual by the guest appropriate to their age. So when you're at this party, they'll then give you gifts. They'll give you presents. All right, they're guests to your party. You invite them to your party, then they'll give you gifts. All right. It says, other birthday activities may include entertainment. So you'll have entertainment. Sometimes that could be a professional, like a clown, a musician, or a magician. So you'll have somebody either doing magic, somebody playing music, or you'll have a clown. Now they got Spider-Man twerking, doing the nay-nay. You've seen all these little videos on YouTube where they had a little party and they got a ratchet daughter explorer comes to the party and she's twerking in front of your kids at the party. But this is what y'all doing on birthdays. Foolishness, right? But that's part of the entertainment. That's part of it. That's what your kid wants. She says she wants Dora the Explorer. You go all out, you ball out, you bring Dora the Explorer, and she acting ratchet at your party. All right? Other birthday activities include entertainment. A special toast or speech by the birthday celebrant. So then the person that's actually being celebrated, they'll usually give a toast or a speech. That means they stand up in the middle of everybody, say a few words or whatever. Then you got the famous song. It's a stanza. It's called "Good Morning to You," or it unofficially became "Happy Birthday to You." So "Happy Birthday to You" is a song. It's the most played song in history. "Happy Birthday" is the most played song in history. Take that down as a note. It is typically sung by the guest at some point in the proceedings. In some countries, a piñata takes place of a cake. All right. So those are some of the characteristics of what a typical birthday party looks like. Right. Yes, Yakiden, it's crazy. Absolutely, absolutely. All right. So just wanted to give y'all a brief history on what a birthday looks like if y'all don't know. All right. One thing we got to understand about birthdays is there are certain groups of people where the birthday celebration is one of their highest celebrations, right? Meaning they take it, it takes precedence over any other celebration. That's the top celebration. What group do you think takes precedent as the birthday is their top celebration, Abiel? See if you know. What group? No, I'm just saying a group. There's a particular group, nationality, or just a particular group where they feel like celebrating their birthday is one of the highest days of the year, and nothing else compares to that actual day. Just give an answer. Whatever you feel is the answer.
I'm probably gonna have to say Israel.
You're gonna say Israel. All right, all right. Well, you could be kind of right. Israel may fall into this category of this group. So this group that puts birthdays on a high pedestal is the Satanists. Those that worship Satan. All right, those that are in the satanic order, what you would say, that is one of their highest days. So if somebody professes themselves to be a Luciferian, exactly. I would pray none of y'all on here are, and if you are, you need to repent. But that's one of their highest days. That's one of their highest days. All right, so we're going to look at an excerpt where I'm going to read an excerpt from the book of Lucifer, the Enlightenment, when it talks about birthdays being a high day among Satanists. All right. Birthdays are the highest celebration among Satanists. All right. So right here, this is strike one. Any of y'all on here that's doing a birthday party, or you want to acknowledge birthdays and make it like it's a special day, you're falling in the category with a Satanist. And y'all say that y'all Israel, y'all say that y'all repented, y'all say that y'all are trying to keep these commandments. What we about to read, if you still hold tight to your birthday starting from this point, you fall in the category with the Satanists. All right. The highest of all holidays in the satanic religion is the date of one's own birthday. This is a direct contradiction to the holy of holy days of other religions, which deify a particular god who has been created in an anthropomorphic form of their own image. So what he's saying is the Satanists look at their own birth as one of the highest of all holidays. But it's a contradiction to most religions, because what do most religions do? Most religions put their deity up in more importance than themselves. So in Israel, aren't we supposed to put the Most High God as more important than ourselves? That's what he told us in the commandments, what we're going to get when we go to Exodus and in Deuteronomy 5. We're supposed to put God above ourselves. But the Satanists said, no, we're going to put ourselves first and foremost. I'm going to continue to read on. Thereby, their own image, thereby showing that the ego is not really buried. The Satanist feels, why not really be honest? And if you're going to create a God in your image, why not create that God as yourself? So what he's saying is, most religions will create a deity that looks like themselves. So he said, well, if you create a deity that looks like yourself and you're putting that deity of such importance, why not just puff yourself up as a God? Why not just magnify yourself as a God and worship yourself rather than worshiping some deity that's in your image? Just worship yourself. This is what Satanists say, all right? The Satanist feels, why not really be honest? And if you're going to create a God in your image, why not create that God as yourself? So, Abiel, did we create God in our image, or did God create us in his image?
He created us in his image.
God already created us in his image. So we already don't need to go out of our way to create an image of our God. We don't need to do that. God gives us his characteristics right there. Just follow his characteristics that are in the Bible. That's how we please God. We don't need to go over and above to do that. Every man is a God if he chooses to recognize himself as one. So the Satanist celebrates his own birthday as the most important holiday of the year. After all, aren't you happier about the fact that you were born? Aren't you happier about the fact that you were born than you are about the birth of someone you have never even met? So he's saying right there, you should be more happy about the fact that you were born rather than the birth of something you've never ever met. You look at the mind. This is the mind of somebody that's prideful. It's about me. 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 That's what Satanists are about. And that's what them celebrating their birthday shows. Okay, we're going to read on. Or, for the matter, aside from religious holidays, why pay higher tribute to the birthday of a president or to a date in history than we do to the day we were brought into to the greatest of all worlds? Now, okay, he's saying, well, don't worry about President's Day. Don't worry about Christmas. Don't worry about Thanksgiving, which you shouldn't be following those anyways. He's saying, even so, still put yourself on a higher pedestal than all this other stuff. This is what the Satanists are saying. So when it comes to President's Day, they don't worry about that. That's not a high day to them. When it comes to Christmas, that's not a high day to them. The high day is that day in which they were born. That day which they make themselves or pump themselves up as a God. All right? Why pay higher tribute to the birthday of a president or to a day in history than we do to the day we were brought into this greatest of all worlds? Despite the fact that some of us may not have been wanted, or at least were not particularly planned. So he's saying, even despite the fact that we weren't wanted and we weren't planned, let's put ourselves, pump ourselves up and put ourselves on a pedestal. Think about that statement right there, Abiel. A lot of people that may have not been wanted or may not have been planned or don't feel like people take them of any importance, what do you think they're going to want to have in their life? They're going to want to feel important. So what's one day that they can feel important out of the year? Their birthday. Despite the fact that some of us may have been wanted or at least were not particularly planned. We're glad, even if no one else is, that we're here. You should give yourself a pat on the back. Buy yourself whatever you want. Treat yourself like a king or god that you are, and generally celebrate your birthday with as much pomp and ceremony as possible. So they're basically saying pump yourself up as a king or a god and make it about you no matter if anybody says so or not, right? And that's the characteristic of a lot of people on their birthday. They feel like nobody can tell them anything, that it's their day. You can't, don't make me mad on my day. Have you ever dealt with somebody like that, Abiel? Don't tell me no on my birthday. Don't mess up my day on my birthday. This is my day. I don't want to hear your drama. I ain't doing nothing for you. I ain't cooking. I ain't cleaning. I ain't doing nothing for you. It's my day. Worship me. Look at me. Give me things. Come sit at my feet. That's how people are on their birthday. Because it puts that spirit that, oh, I'm a God. I'm here to be worshipped.
Yeah, and people take it a step further nowadays, which is all new to me. They say it's my birthday month. Yeah. Yeah, it's wild.
So they doing it for a whole month.
Yes.
But they won't keep Passover for the
No, not at all. No. They're gonna go to Vegas, celebrate their birthday for 2 weeks, come back, celebrate their birthday at the house for another 2 weeks. You know,
because they're being worshipped.
Yeah.
They don't want to take the time to worship God, how God says, because God got stipulations on what you could do on certain days. You gotta have a celebration. You can't buy, you can't sell. They don't want to worship God's days. But when it comes to everybody else bowing down to them and worshiping them, oh, you better make sure you got my gift. You better make sure you're not late to my party. You better make sure, like when a girl has a sweet 16 party, right? Her pops better, or her mom and her dad better make sure they pay the right amount of money for that party. They better have the entertainers there. She better get the dress. Y'all watch the show My Sweet 16. Type a Y in the comments if you have watched the show My Sweet 16 in the past. Say it again. The type of car they want. Like I said, the certain people at their party, the price of the party, the outfits. I seen one. It wasn't actually My Sweet 16. It was Hello Newman's, the basketball family on YouTube. The daughter had a birthday party, and in the episode, she wanted a car, and then her outfit show up. She began to act like a brat, and she didn't want to help, and it started to rain, and she was just like, worship me, worship me, worship me. That's the spirit. See, everybody saying yes, 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 yes. That's the spirit. Worship me, worship me, worship me. Don't be like that. But that's what Satanists want you to do. And if you were doing that, you fall in line with the Satanists. All right, so let's move on. All right, so birthdays originated in ancient Egypt. All right, so birthdays originated in ancient Egypt. All right. When a new pharaoh was crowned, he was basically a god. So when a new pharaoh rose up, he was crowned. He was basically ascending to godhood. All right, his subject looked at him as a god. All right, in the eyes of the people, and from that day they celebrated the pharaoh's coronation. So I don't know if you had that definition. If not, I'll just read it from right here. You got it. They celebrated the pharaoh's coronation. All right, we're gonna get that definition real quick. So the coronation definition is the act or ceremony of crowning a king, queen, or sovereign. All right, so remember that. They celebrated the pharaoh's coronation, him becoming a king and then ascending to the god level. All right, so that's where birthdays started. But it wasn't necessarily them celebrating his actual physical birth from the womb. It was them celebrating him ascending to godlike status in their eyes. All right, so the same thing. Again, when you having your birthday, people are supposed to make you feel like a king, a queen, or a god or a goddess on your birthday. Correct? That's how you want to be treated. That's how you want people to make you feel from the time you wake up to the time you go to sleep. But like Deacon Abiel said, now you want them to treat you like that for the whole entire month. All right. So let's go to Exodus chapter 20 and verse 1. So remember, we said it started in Egypt. Exodus chapter 20 verse 1. The book of Exodus, chapter 20. And I hope this will give you a little bit more clarity on why God says this right here in Exodus 20 and 1. Exodus chapter 20, verse 1. And the Lord spake all these words, saying, I am the Lord thy God, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. So God is letting it be known, right? First and foremost, I'm your God, and I'm the one that brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. So he's letting you know who he is and what condition he saved you from. Meaning God is showing his power. He's showing us, he's telling us, hey, I got power. I have power to deliver you from the hand of the Egyptians. Right? Verse 3. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. So he's saying right here, the first commandment, thou shalt have no other gods before me. Why do we think he said that? Because in the time of the Egyptians, we were worshiping them as gods. We were worshiping them as gods. How were we worshiping them as gods? One of the things we were doing was celebrating their birthday, meaning celebrating their coronation from year after year after year after year. Read on. Verse 3, thou shalt have no other gods before me. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image or any likeness of anything that is in the heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them. For I, the Lord thy God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me. So God is saying, don't make these images and bow down to these images. You're worshiping these images. You're worshiping these statues, these idols that you pump up as gods. Don't do that. That's idolatry. Don't do that. I am your God. Don't have any other gods before me. So don't you think at the Pharaoh's coronation, when it was a celebration, they had statues. They had idols put up of themselves. Remember, I'm ascending. I'm becoming a Pharaoh. I'm in my godlike state. So make me a statue. Bring forth my statue. Y'all going to worship this. Look at this. Don't touch the Pharaoh of Tutmos, Akhenaten, all these different pharaohs, Ramses. Don't touch this. You can look at it, you can bow down, and you can worship it. So God is letting us know, I brought you out of that land. You're going to worship me only. Don't worship anything else. So even when it comes to birthdays, now when people feel like they're a God, what do? We sit in a circle around them. They be at the table. We sing happy birthday. We bring the cake. We bring the presents. We make them feel as good as we can on that day. We don't want to upset the birthday boy. We don't want to upset the birthday girl. You might get kicked out the party. You don't want to do that. I don't know if you remember you as old as me, Abiel. You remember that movie Problem Child? All right, so it was Problem Child was a little Edomite boy. It's back like in the early 90s. Came out in the early 90s. The Edomite boy, he was adopted. He got adopted to this family. He wasn't like a little kid. He was probably like 7, 8, 9 years old. He was old enough to get into stuff. So he went to this little girl's party, and he was by her presence. And he's dressed up like a devil. He's in a red devil suit at her party. I don't know why. Because he's bad. He's a problem child. So he goes by her gifts, and she goes over there, and she's like, don't touch my gifts. These are my gifts. This is my party. Nobody can touch my gifts, blah, 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 blah. So she's just like degrading the dude. And so they're going out to do the magician thing. Oh, Yakiti said he remember it. They're going out to do the clown and the magician. And she's like, you can't come out here. You got to stay inside. So his dad comes and talks to him. Make a long story short, he's like, all right. You want to let me come to your party? I got some stuff I'm going to do. So he starts tearing up the house. He starts throwing her gifts all in the pool. She starts crying. He's cutting her friend's hair. He's destroying everything at the party. And ends up, they get kicked out or whatever. But the way she was acting like a brat at the party. Because he started destroying her day. She just could not take it. And they start playing the song. It's my party. I can cry if I want to. That's how some people be acting at their birthday party. That's how they be acting. That's exactly real talk. That's how they be acting. All right? So yeah, verse 5. I'm going to read the end of verse 5. It says, verse 5 again, thou shalt not bow down themselves to them, nor serve them. For I, the Lord thy God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, and showing mercy unto the thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments. So if the way you show that you hate God is when you go off worshiping other gods, when you don't apply what he told you in the first verses above here. I'm the Lord thy God. Have no other gods before me. But if you say, you know what? He's going to show mercy if you keep his commandments, meaning I understand who my God is, and that's the only one I'm going to worship. That's when that mercy will be shown. All right? So from the foundation of birthdays, you would only typically see royalty celebrating them. It wasn't every average Joe Blow celebrating birthdays from the beginning of the foundation. Remember, it started in Egypt. The pharaohs would celebrate their birthday as the day of their coronation when they ascended to godhood. So it was royalty celebrating them. So let's go to Genesis 40 and 20. Again, another example of them celebrating birthdays in Egypt. And as y'all go, brothers and sisters, take notes. You're not going to see any positivity where Israel is doing something in righteousness, celebrating birthdays. It's going to reference. We're going to go over scriptures that reference the heathens. We're going to go over scriptures that reference people being put to death on their birthdays, people being put to death on other people's birthdays. And then you're going to see the scriptures and you're going to make the decision whether you feel it's righteous or not, based on what God told you. All right? Genesis chapter 40 and verse 20. So remember, we're already in Exodus. Exodus comes after the book of Genesis. So he said, hey, I brought you out of the land of Egypt. Have no other gods before me. Why did he say that? Genesis chapter 40 and verse 20. And it came to pass the third day, which was Pharaoh's birthday, that he made a feast unto all his servants. And he lifted up the head of the chief butler and of the chief baker among his servants. And he restored the chief butler unto his butlership again. And he gave the cup into Pharaoh's hand. But he hanged the chief baker, as Joseph had interpreted to them. Yet did not the chief butler remember Joseph, but forgot him. So this was a time, remember when Joseph got cast into prison? And then the butler and the baker, they were having dreams, and he interpreted their dream, what was going to happen to them. Now it's showing at Pharaoh's birthday, or the celebration of his coronation, that it says he restored the chief butler unto his butlership again. And he gave the cup into Pharaoh's hand. But he hanged the chief baker, as Joseph had interpreted to them. But the baker got hung. So the baker died on that birthday that the Pharaoh was celebrating. So there was death on that day. Somebody had to be punished. There was death that day. All right? So that's not it wasn't a good thing. Like, ooh, the Pharaoh's birthday's coming. Let's all get together and have a good time. No, people got put to death. And it's showing you right here that chief baker got put to death on Pharaoh's birthday. All right? So again, I want to give y'all, I hope y'all got the understanding that when they celebrated birthdays in Egypt, it wasn't just, ooh, I'm one, ooh, I'm two, ooh, I'm three. No, it was about the coronation from them going to godhood. That's why it's showing you it right here. All right? So another ruler that celebrated his birthday was Herod, the demon Herod. Let's go to Mark chapter 6, verse 21. Mark chapter 6, verse 21. This is Mark chapter 6, verse 21. And when a convenient day was come, that Herod on his birthday made a supper to his lord's high captains and chief estates of Galilee, and when the daughter of the said Herodians came in and danced, and pleased Herod and them that sat with him, the king said unto the damsel, ask of me whatsoever thou wilt, and I will give it thee. So Herod celebrated his birthday, and the daughter comes in, and he said, hey, whatever you want, ask of me, and I'll give it to you. You know how some men can be when they're drinking and when they're around beautiful women. Hey, whatever you want, you can have it. You can have whatever you like. Y'all remember that song of T.I.? This is what Herod was telling her. You can have whatever you want. But y'all know what the scriptures say. There's no wickedness compared to the wickedness of a woman. So watch what she about to do. It says, and when the daughter of the said Herodians came in and danced, and pleased Herod and them that sat with him, the king said unto the damsel, ask of me whatsoever thou wilt, and I will give it thee. And he sware unto her, whatsoever thou shalt ask of me, I will give it thee unto the half of my kingdom. So he was swearing in front of everybody, whatever you ask, I'll give it to you unto the half of my kingdom. Meaning, don't ask for the half of my kingdom. I ain't giving you that. Whatever else you want, you can have it. Verse 24, and she went forth and said unto her mother, what shall I ask? And she said, the head of John the Baptist. So now she went to her mother and was like, what should I ask for? The mother was like, I want the head of John the Baptist. Bring the head of John the Baptist, Christ's cousin. Bring his head to me on a platter. It says, verse 25, and she came in straightway with haste unto the king and asked, saying, I will that thou give me by and by in a charger the head of John the Baptist. And the king was exceedingly sorry, yet for his oath's sake and for the sake which sat with him, he would not reject her. And immediately the king sent an executioner and commanded his head to be brought. And he went and beheaded him in the prison. So he went. He was like, dang, I shouldn't have said that. But to keep my oath, I got to do it. So he sent the executioner to the prison and had John the Baptist beheaded at that time. So again, showing you another example of a heathen nation celebrating a birthday and somebody dying because of what's going on. And under Pharaoh, that chief baker got killed. Under Herod, John the Baptist got killed. So all y'all believing Christians that come from the Baptist church and believed on the baptism of John, right here, Herod celebrated his birthday, got John the Baptist killed. So even if nothing else I say, Abiel, at least show some respect for John the Baptist and be like, well, I ain't going to do it for that simple fact. Like when it comes to animal abuse, right? People will be like, well, I'm not going to wear no fur coat because the little rabbits and bears is getting killed, so I'm not going to wear fur. I'm not going to wear fur coats. I'm not going to do that. But when we show you right here in the scriptures, John the Baptist got beheaded at Herod's birthday, but you still going to celebrate your daughter's birthday, your son's birthday, your own birthday, when one of the mighty prophets of the Lord, Christ's cousin, was killed on Herod's birthday. But that ain't enough. We're going to keep going. We're going to keep going. All right. So where did birthday cake comes from? Remember I told you to write down certain things that we talked about earlier and where the tradition of birthday started from? So where did the birthday cakes come from? Where did the birthday cakes come from? Because you know what happens now, Abiel? They say, well, yeah, I hear what you said, Deacon. I hear it, but I'm just doing it for the kids. Well, kids like birthday cakes. Kids like candles. But there's a symbolism behind it all. There's a meaning behind it all. Just like they say with Christmas, oh, I just do it for the kids now. I don't do it as I know it's not Christ's birthday. What about Nimrod? Well, yeah, that may be way back then, but I don't do it for that. I do it for the kids now. Okay. Where'd the birthday cakes come from? They were originally called lunar cakes and were made in honor of the Greek goddess Artemis. She was known as the moon goddess, and her followers would visit her temple with moon-shaped cakes. The candles on the cake would give them a moon-like glow. So the origin of it was idolatry. It was worshiping a Greek goddess named Artemis. When you put those candles on that cake and you bring that cake forward, it has that moonlight glow. You were giving honor to that Greek god Artemis. All right? So let's go to some facts about Artemis. Is Greek goddess of the hunt, the wilderness, wild animals, the moon. So the moon goddess. And chastity. The goddess Diana is her Roman equivalent. So the goddess Diana is the Roman equivalent to Artemis. Artemis, remember the Greeks came before the Romans. You had Greeks, then you had the Greco-Roman Empire, then you had the Roman Empire. So Artemis was what the form they worshipped her at that time. Then she went to Diana. It talks about that in the scriptures, how some of our forefathers and foremothers were worshiping Diana at the church of Ephesus. We're going to get that as well. All right, so Diana is her Roman equivalent. Artemis, say that again. Your birthday is today. It's crazy how your class topics always align with my life. My birthday is today. All praises. All praises. All praises. Hopefully, because I haven't celebrated since I've been in the truth almost 4 years ago. All praises. All praises. And you know what, sis? The more and more you kind of disconnect from it, the easier it gets. Sometimes I go through the years and the month of my birth and the day comes, and I forget that that's my actual day of birth. Like I don't put no significance on it because every day to me is the same unless it's a day where I'm celebrating for the Lord. It's just another day, you know. So all praises that you tuning into this class, and I hope that in this class gives you something else that continues to build your faith and makes it easier for you just to withhold from celebrating your birthday. All right, so again, let's go back. Artemis is the daughter of Zeus and Leto and the twin sister of Apollo. She was the patron and protector of young girls and was believed to bring disease upon women and relieve them of it. Artemis was worshipped as one of the primary goddesses of childbirth and midwifery along with Eileithyia, much like Athena and Hestia. Artemis preferred to remain a maiden and is sworn never to marry. All right, so she's sworn never to marry. Artemis was one of the most widely venerated of the ancient Greek deities, and her temple at Ephesus was one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. Artemis' symbols included a bow and arrow, a quiver, and hunting knives, and the deer and the cypress were sacred to her. Diana, her Roman equivalent, was especially worshipped on the Aventin Hill in Rome, near Lake Nemei, and in the Alban Hills and in Campina. All right, so they worshiped Artemis. Then they went from worshiping Artemis to worshiping Diana. All right. So there was one time when Israel baked cakes in worship to the Queen of Heaven, or Astarte, Ishtar, or Astaroth. All right, in the time of Babylon. All right, we're going to get that as well. The Queen of Heaven is mentioned in the Bible and has been associated with a number of different goddesses by different scholars. So now that's a different time period we're talking about. First, we were talking about the Greek time period and then the Roman time period. Now we're going back to the time of the Babylonians. All right, the Queen of Heaven is mentioned in the Bible and has been associated with a number of different goddesses by different scholars. So I want y'all to hear the words that are being used. Been associated with different goddesses by different scholars. So that means it'll go from one time period to the next. One time period to the next. They always associate. It just moves through time. Remember what I said earlier, how people would be like, oh, no, I just do it for the kids now. Forget Nimrod. Yeah, okay, you say Christmas originated with Nimrod back in December 25th, celebrating his birth. We don't do it for that no more. Oh, we don't do it as Christ's birthday. We just do it for the kids. Over time, it just shifts from one thing to the next. Takes on a new face. Takes on a new face. Watch. Including Ant, Astarte, and Ishtar, Astaroth, or as a composite figure. The worship of a queen of heaven is recorded in the book of Jeremiah in the context of the prophet condemning such religious worship and it being the cause of God declaring he would be removed his people from the land. So this worship, us worshiping the Queen of Heaven, all right, that God forewarned Jeremiah to tell, hey, they keep doing this worship, I'm going to remove them from the land. So if we continue to do these things unknowingly or knowingly, giving honor and reverence to these various deities, these various idols, how do you think God is going to deal with us? God's going to continue to deal with us harshly. When we continue to allow these things to happen within our community, within our land, God's going to continue to deal with us harshly. All right? Greeks in classical and Hellenistic Roman times occasionally equated Aphrodite with Astarte and many other Near Eastern goddesses, in keeping with their frequent practice of syncretizing other deities with their own. All right? So then the Greeks, they would take Astarte, which was during the time of the Babylonians, and they would equate it with Aphrodite. They would give it a new name, Aphrodite. All right? So you don't get confused when they have all these different names for these goddesses. They have the same characteristic, and some of them have the same meaning. It just went from one time period to the next. All right? Syncretism. Let's get the definition of syncretism. Syncretism, pay attention to this word very clearly. Syncretism is spelled Syncretism. Syncretism, I hope I'm saying it right, is the combining of different beliefs while blending practices of various schools of thought. Syncretism involves the merging or assimilation of several originally discrete traditions, especially the theology and mythology of religion, thus asserting an underlying unity and allowing for an inclusive approach to other faiths. Syncretism also occurs commonly in expressions of arts and culture, known as eclecticism, as well as politics, syncretic politics. All right? So, again, what the heathens do is they use syncretism to pass on the worship of various gods from one time period to the next. All right? So, for instance, you have one group that believe in this, you have another group that believe in that. They say, okay, well, one's not going to win over the other. Let's just synchronize them together. Let's combine them together, take a little bit of this and a little bit of that, combine it together and make it something else. And then the people be none the wiser of what the original connotations behind it are. This is what we're trying to bring to your life. So don't come up and say, well, it's just for the kids. I just love my child, and I just want to remember their birth, so I got to put a cake in front of them. I got to sit them at a table. I got to put a hat on them. I got to bring presents to them. Well, our forefathers and foremothers that were in idolatry felt like they had to do that for Astarte. They felt like they had to do that for Artemis. They felt like they had to do that for these various gods. And over time, it began to get synchronized, and it turned into something else that what it didn't really just start at us. All right? So syncretism. All right? So a lot of holidays our people celebrate today in America are a result of syncretism, taking many customs and blending them together. All right? Hiding behind it. All right? So let's go to Jeremiah chapter 44 and verse 15. Jeremiah chapter 44 and verse 15. All right. Jeremiah 44, verse 15. Then all the men which knew that their wives had burned incense to other gods, and all the women that stood by, a great multitude, even all the people that dwelt in the land of Egypt, in Pathros, answered Jeremiah, saying, As for the word that thou hast spoken unto us in the name of the Lord, we will not hearken unto thee. So Jeremiah just told these people, God said, don't do this. They looked at Jeremiah and said, yeah, all these words you just said, I'm not going to do that. How many of y'all have dealt with y'all's family members and told them, hey, this is what the Bible say? And they say, well, I heard what you said, but I ain't doing that. Well, mom, dad, you know, I understand it's your grandchild, but we don't celebrate birthdays because it's wicked according to God. Well, yeah, I heard what you said, but that's my grandbaby, and I'm still going to get her a gift. These are the type of people that Jeremiah was dealing with. So we got to deal with the same people now, but how strong is your faith to say no? You heard what the Bible said. You heard what God said. If you continue to go against what God said and what I say, you won't have no contact with your grandchild. You won't have no contact with your niece or your nephew. You won't have no contact with your child if you continue to do this. This is the kind of forefathers we had. Our foremothers stood up for God as well. Remember the time of Maccabees? The woman with the 7 sons that didn't want to have her sons eat the pork? They were willing to die rather than eat pork. But now we so weak in our faith, we'll just go ahead and worship these idols, knowingly or unknowingly, because that's what everybody's doing. That's what makes the kids happy. That's what makes my wife happy. Remember, wives were worshiping this deity, and Jeremiah had to go to them and tell them, and they was like, nah, we're not going to stop. I heard what God said, but I ain't stopping. Weak men. All right? As for the word that thou hast spoken unto us in the name of the Lord, we will not hearken unto thee, but we will certainly do whatsoever thing goeth forth out of our own mouth to burn incense unto the queen of heaven, and to pour out drink offerings unto her, as we have done, we and our fathers, our kings and our princes in the cities of Judah. So they're saying, we and our forefathers. This is what I grew up doing. This is what I'm going to do. Same thing now. Y'all have brothers and sisters that y'all know in y'all family that celebrating birthdays, and they will not stop because that's what they grew up doing. Mom and dad celebrated your birthday. Now you don't let your kids celebrate their birthday? You wrong for that. I'm going to continue to celebrate my birthday. I'm going to celebrate my kid's birthday. It's the same stuff that's going on right here. It's idolatry. You want to put other things before God rather than doing what God says. All right? It says, and to pour out drink offerings unto her, as we have done, we and our fathers, our kings and our princes in the cities of Judah, and in the streets of Jerusalem. For then we had plenty of victuals, and were well, and saw no evil. So they like, ain't nothing happened to us. We was eating good. We didn't see no evil. Nothing happened to us. So I ain't worried about God coming and removing us out of the city. We've been doing this, and we've been having everything. Nothing's going to happen. You'll have the same people that doing that today will say, oh, I've been celebrating birthdays for so many years. Ain't nothing happened to me. I'm living good. God ain't going to do nothing to me. Okay, you wait until God get fed up. Remember what was brought out by Elder Uzziah. We're on a different time level than God. God deals in seasons. We deal in minutes and hours and days. So when God feels your season has come for him to judge you, and you ain't ready and you don't know, you're going to get judged. Ain't no time frame. Remember what the scriptures say, because a sentence against evil work has not been executed speedily, the hearts of men are set into them to do evil. Any of y'all that have a child, right, and you put your child on punishment, what's one thing they're going to ask? They're going to ask, how long am I on punishment for? You give them 2 weeks, I guarantee you within that 2-week period, in their mind, they're like, all I got to do is act good for 2 weeks. I'm going to get off punishment and cut up. That doesn't give them an opportunity to actually change their way. They just thinking about the time that they have to be on punishment, and once that time frame is over, they're going to get back to acting up. Let me give you some parents some advice. When you're going to discipline your kids and put them on punishment, don't give them a time frame. What you tell them is, as soon as you change your actions, that will determine when you get off punishment. That's the same thing God told us. When you repent and you turn your heart back to the Lord, then you'll get off punishment. Then I'll free you from these curses. Remember, God deals in season. He don't deal in just the same time we deal with. All right? Just a quick note. But since we left off burning incense to the Queen of Heaven and to pour out drink offerings unto her, we have wanted all things and have been consumed by the sword and by the famine. So now, in their mind, they're like, as soon as we stopped worshiping the Queen of Heaven, we begin to lack. We begin to get killed, and we've been having famine. So they're going to go back to worshiping these idols. That's where their safety is. Their safety isn't in the God of Israel, isn't in the Most High God. It's in these different idols. All right? And when we have burned incense to the Queen of Heaven and pour out drink offerings unto her, did we make cakes to worship her and pour out drink offerings unto her without our men? So there was like, did we do these things without our men? No, our men were right there doing it with us. They were partaking in it with us. We made cakes to the Queen of Heaven. So they was making cakes in the time of Babylon to the Queen of Heaven. They did it in the time of the Greeks to the Queen of Heaven. And they did it in the time of the Romans to the Queen of Heaven. And now when y'all celebrating birthdays and y'all putting those cakes in front of your kids, telling them to blow out the candles and make a wish, you're doing the same thing. It's just synchronized. It's packaged up. A little other things are added onto it, and it's giving us something different. But it all has pagan origins, and it's rooted in idolatry. We got to get away from that. All right. All right, so Israel was caught up in idolatry, worshiping Diana at Ephesus. Let's go to Acts chapter 19 and verse 23. So I'm giving you some Old Testament. I'm giving you some New Testament. Let's go back to Acts chapter 19 and verse 23. Remember, we looked at in Egypt how they were celebrating the Pharaoh's birthday in the Old Testament. Then we went and looked in the New Testament how they celebrated Herod's birthday. Now we went and talked about the Queen of Heaven in the Old Testament, what we were doing. Now we're going to go into the New Testament and show what we were doing. We were doing it back then, doing it now, the same. When are we going to actually make a change as a people? Acts chapter 19, verse 23. The heathens have only gotten smarter to keep Israel asleep. They've only gotten smarter to keep Israel asleep. The longer you stay asleep, the longer they stay in power. You don't think that they got records of who their deities are? Yeah, they got records of who their deities are. They know why they're really doing it. You just don't because you don't do the research. Acts chapter 19, verse 23. All right. And the same time there arose no small stir about the way. For a certain man named Demetrius, a silversmith, which made shrines for Diana. Remember, so now we're in the time of Rome. Remember, Diana was the equivalent to Artemis. Remember, Artemis was under the Greeks. Now Diana is under the time of the Romans. All right, so it's talking about the silversmith that would make these idols to Diana. It says, brought no small gain unto the craftsmen, whom he called together with the workmen of the like occupation, and said, sirs, you know that by this craft we have our wealth. So they were making money off of these things. Check where I'm going, Abiel. They were making money off of these different silver shrines unto Diana. What do you think happens now? Birthdays is a big day of commerce. You got different party favors. You got different themes for parties, things of that nature. It's a way for people to make money. Idolatry is a way for the heathens and people to make money. Okay, we got Christmas. Bam, I can make things for Christmas. You worshiping Santa Claus, you worshiping Nimrod. Come buy these gifts on Christmas. Come buy these things on Valentine's Day. Come buy these things on your birthday. They were buying these things so they could go worship Diana. And the silversmiths were making money. Whom he called together with the workmen of the like occupation, and said, sirs, you know that by this craft we have our wealth. Moreover, ye see and hear that not alone at Ephesus, but almost throughout all Asia, this Paul hath persuaded and turned away much people, saying that they be no gods which are made with hands. So now Paul was going through Asia, all Ephesus, saying, hey, these ain't gods. These things were made by these silversmiths. Y'all stop worshiping these things. Paul was trying to get Israel to repent, get out of that idolatry. So he's going through and he's messing up Demetrius' money. He's messing up the silversmith's money. He's like, hey, we've been making a lot of money. It's of no small gain. Now this Paul is coming through here trying to stop what we got going. Nah, we got to shut that down. Remember what I said during the class. Last Sabbath class. I said, remember, they would say that the dragon is going to get wroth, but they to keep the commandments. Now, I gave an example. I said that's not just talking about the Sabbath day and things of that nature, talking about unity. But it's also talking about us removing ourselves from their big shopping days, Christmas, Valentine's Day, New Year's, birthdays. They're going to begin to lose money on a large scale because we're not buying these things in a high number. We're not worshiping ourselves like that. We're not caught up in idolatry. So they're going to begin to lose money. Then they're going to come against us because they begin to lose money. All right? Moreover, you see in here that not alone at Ephesus, but almost throughout all Asia, this Paul had persuaded and turned away much people, saying that there be no gods which are made with hands. So that not only this our craft is in danger to be set at naught, but also that the temple of the great goddess Diana should be despised, and her magnificence should be destroyed, whom all Asia and the world worship. So he's like, not only are we going to lose the money, but now her temple is going to be despised and destroyed throughout all Asia, meaning nobody's going to come show up no more. You lose money, you can't sell your items, and now the place where you was having the people worship is going to be of no importance anymore. All that stuff's going to be it's going to start crashing down. So we got to begin to see the pagan and the original idolatrous origins of these different holidays, these different celebrations, and start pulling ourselves from them. And that's going to begin to make the economy crash down because they make a lot of money off of our sins. All right? Let's see. All right. So where did the origin of the blowing out the candles? All right, so we talked about the cake. Where did the blowing of the candles come from? Where did that come from? All right? When you blow out the candles on your birthday cake, you're careful to keep your wish a secret. Remember we talked about that. You're careful to keep your wish a secret. The mythology behind this tradition is actually Wiccan. So one form of it is the Wiccans do it. All right, the Wiccans would have candle worship. All right, fire is a symbol of power. When you extinguish the flame, the rising smoke carried the secret wish into the sky. So the Wiccans believe that the fire was a form of power, and when you blew out the candles, it would take your wish to the sky. It would take your wish up to the sky. All right. Remember, because what we read earlier said in the tradition, you had to make sure that you blew out all your candles in one breath. Otherwise, your wish would not go to the sky. Y'all got to think about these things. You got to think about these things. That's why you got to stop, feeding these lies to your kids. They'll watch things on TV and they'll come up to you and ask. My daughter, she's 3 years old. And I got to tell her, this is wicked, that's wicked. She'll begin to come up to me and say, oh, Christmas is wicked, Daddy? This wicked? Like she tries to confirm it with me and I'll look and say, yes, that's wicked. Don't watch that. She'll ask why and I'll try to explain it to her the best that she can understand. But you got to explain these things to them. Don't have them thinking the tooth fairy is real. There's some origins behind that. Start giving your kids the true facts. All right? The mythology behind this tradition is Wiccan. Fire is a symbol of power, and when you extinguish the flame, the rising smoke carried the secret wish into the sky. All right. This tradition was also used by the Greeks. Again, with the round cake that symbolized the moon, and they will pay homage to Artemis. It is believed that the smoke from the candles carries wishes up high to where the gods and goddesses live. That is why a birthday celebrant is often told to silently make a wish prior to blowing out the candle. So again, you tell them to make a wish to this imaginary being that's going to grant their wish, right? And they probably wishing for a Nintendo or a PlayStation, right? I want the PlayStation 5. No, you just busted your butt at your job and bought all them gifts, but they making a wish to somebody else. I'm standing right here. You could have just told me if that's the case. But you don't understand the origins behind it. You're like, go ahead, make a wish, baby. What you wish for? Don't tell nobody. It might not come true. And then 3 weeks later, Abigail, you know what you ask them? What you want for your birthday next year? What do you think they're going to tell you? The thing that they wish for? Come on now. Silly. It's silly. It's silly. These traditions is foolish. What can you expect from the heathens that don't have a God? You that have a God should know better. You're supposed to be a wiser people. All right? But you just got to wake up. Remember the Bible says we're destroyed for a lack of knowledge. All right? All right. So, again, making a wish. The birthday candle is an incredibly common sight for magic candles. Y'all heard this, magic candles. There's other groups and religions and I guess that's what you want to call it, that use magic with candles. All right, so it's saying using them cuts across countries, religions, cultures, and creeds. So different countries, different religions, different cultures, different creeds use candles for magic. All right. Blowing out the candles on a cake is a familiar part of many celebrations. It's a familiar part, but you never ask what it was for. You never, outside of them just telling you to make a wish. So it is a form of magic. These other groups, like the Wiccans, they look at these things with high significance. You just celebrating your party because it's your party. You're just happy you worshiping yourself. But they look at these things as having actual power. All right? The number of candles on the cake varies. Some traditions use the same number of candles as the age reached. Others spell out the number using candles, and others use candles to denotate groups of years, such as one candle for every 5 years. That's when y'all get all old and y'all like, I ain't finna put 100 candles on my cake. Better just put a couple, put 10 groups, 10 candles on my cake. You know how y'all sisters be doing. They're not just for the aesthetic value. So the candles on the cake weren't just for looks. They're not for aesthetic value. All right. The typical belief that the wish will only come true if all the candles are extinguished in a single puff. The burning of candles in some spiritual faith, such as Wicca or witchcraft, depends on the candle being charged with a desired wish. So these different spiritual faiths, such as Wicca and witchcraft, they say the candle has to be charged with a desired wish for it to actually work. The burning of the candle then releases the wish or desire into the universe. The candle is a color appropriate to the desire. All right. So sometimes they'll have a certain candle. It's pink for love. So if you're wishing for love, you'll have that pink candle. You'll blow it out, and you'll hopefully find love. Blue is for healing. So you have blue candles. Blow it out. You'll find love. You'll find healing. Some candles may be inscribed with runes or symbols to help the wish on its way. So they'll put different things inside the candle to help the wish, I guess, make it to the god or goddess. All right. So let's talk about the Romans a little bit more. All right. Let's talk about the Romans. All right. Ancient Rome. The Romans viewed birthdays as a celebration of a person's genius, meaning their guardian spirit. Now, this ain't talking about, oh, you're a genius, you're so smart. The Romans actually believed that when you were born, you had a sort of like a guardian angel that was with you. All right. So it says, in Roman religion, the genius is the individual instance of a general divine nature that is present in every individual's person, place, or thing. Much like a guardian angel, the genius would follow each man from the hour of his birth until the day he died. For women, it was the Juno spirit that would accompany each of them. All right. So that was one of the beliefs of Romans, that when you were born, you had this spirit. All right. So on your birthday, they would give honor to that spirit as well. The Romans enthusiastically celebrated birthdays with hedonistic parties and generous presents. So what do they say, Abigail? When in Rome, do as the Romans. When in Babylon, do as Babylon. All America is an extension of ancient Rome. Same thing. Y'all have hedonistic parties for a whole month now, like Abigail said. Y'all want to party it up. You going to the club this night. You on a party bus this night. You at the strip club this night. You having a surprise party this night. All throughout the month, you having these hedonistic parties, and you getting generous presents. You expecting all these generous presents. This is what the Romans was doing. This is what the heathens was doing. Over the time when we get Hellenized and we begin to assimilate ourselves into these cultures, what do? We take on the characteristics of these people. So the same thing. You celebrating your birthday, having these hedonistic parties. When you got Elmo and Dora the Explorer twerking in front of your 5-year-old, that's a hedonistic party. Where are the mom and daddy at when you got Dora the Explorer at this little kid's party twerking? Y'all not watching? Listen, y'all. First of all, why is you playing music so that they can twerk to? Like, come on. Y'all taking videos and pictures of it like it's funny, and y'all think that y'all gonna be saved when Christ returns? No, y'all better stop this foolishness. Then you giving these kids these generous presents. They've been bad all year, Abigail. They've been terrorizing. They like that little boy in Problem Child. They like little demon seeds, and when their birthday come, you breaking the bank, getting them payday loans to give them this party. It's a lavish, extravagant party, and they've been bad all year. All right. The Big 50. In Rome, when men turned 50 years old, they would have a special cake made of wheat flour and olive oil and grated cheese, and only the men celebrated their birthdays. So they would have a 50th birthday. Y'all got to start thinking, where do these things come from? Why did they choose 50 of all years to celebrate? Those of y'all that have had grandparents, y'all have had parents, I got to celebrate my 50th birthday. Nope, no other birthday was of any importance that year, but Big 50, Big 50, it has some significance. Why? That's what they was doing in ancient Rome. And it was the men. The women wasn't celebrating their birthdays until the 12th century. Now, they got to come late on everything, but then they eventually get there, right? So that was ancient Rome. Let's talk about Persian birthdays, all right? Persians, all right? Remember the Persians, we were under the captivity, Persians and Medes before the Greeks, all right? So the Persians, on their birthday, all right, they will bake all sorts of farm animals and would eat an abundance of desserts that is set on the table little at a time. So they would bake, different kind of animals, and then they would have various desserts that would be brought out at various times. All right. According to Herodotus, 5th century BC, all the days in the year, the one which the Persians celebrated most is their birthday. So again, the Persians celebrated their birthday the most out of all other days. All right. Sounds like the Satanists to me. It was customary to have a broad furnace on that day, meaning an abundance of food, with an ampler supply than common. The rich people ate wholly baked cows, so they would eat a whole cow. Yep, baby's kids. The rich people would have a whole cow. They would get a whole cow and just cook that. They would eat horse, so that's an abomination to eat horse. They eat camel and they would eat donkeys. These are the things that these heathens was doing on their birthday. While the poor classes used instead smaller kinds of cattle. So if you were poor, you had a little bit smaller party. That's like y'all that all type yes for the Sweet 16, but y'all parents didn't have the money to have a big $100,000 party. Yeah, y'all had a little party at Chuck E. Cheese. Mom, I'm 15. Why am I still having my party at Chuck E. Cheese? Well, this is all we can afford. That's just what it was, all right, so we talked about the Persians. We talked about the Romans. We talked about the Egyptians. We're going to talk about them a little bit more, too. Let's talk about these early Christians, all right? From the World Book Encyclopedia, all right? The early Christians considered the celebration of anyone's birth to be a pagan custom. So, who were the early Christians, Abiel? Who were the early Christians? The early Christians. They were the followers of Christ. So, those that came up after Christ, the followers of Christ. The early Christians, they consider anybody's celebration of anyone's birth to be a pagan custom. So, the followers of Christ already knew that celebrating birthdays was a pagan custom. Why? Because the time of Egypt under Pharaoh, the time during Rome under Herod, then the times in the Greek, then Rome, all these various times. We were living in these various captivities. So you don't think that we didn't see the Persians celebrating their birthdays? They would have these big feasts and then have all these abominable foods like we just read. Remember what happened at the time of Daniel? They tried to present Daniel with these foods because he was in the king's court, and he was like, "No, I'm going to eat my own food. I'm not going to eat that defiled food that y'all got." So if they was presenting him that when he was in the king's court, what do you think they were doing on these birthdays? And our people assimilated into all these various societies. Don't get it twisted. Don't think that, oh, well, we were just in this captivity and we didn't do nothing at all. No, you had the wicked of our people always wanted to join to the heathens. All right? It says the ancient Greeks, for instance, believed that each person had a protective spirit that attended the person's birth and therefore watched over him. That spirit had a mystic relation with the God on whose birthday that individual was born. So he's saying that this is talking about the genius that we talked about earlier. It says that spirit had a mystic relation with the God on whose birthday that individual was born. So it had a relationship with a particular God. All right. You can find this in the book, The Lore of Birthdays. All right. Birthdays also have a long-standing and intimate link with astrology and horoscope. So a lot of people that are so caught up in celebrating their birthday, they also caught up in astrology and dealing with horoscopes as well. Huh? Mainly sisters. Y'all want to always know, what's my day going to be like? What's my week going to be like? What's my month going to be like? Am I going to find love? You all on the computer, all on your horoscope. That's witchcraft. You're not supposed to be doing that. All right? Mesopotamia and Egypt. All right, so we're going to talk about Mesopotamia and Egypt. We're not skimming past the horoscope thing. We're going to deal with that as well. All right, the cradles of civilization were also the first lands in which men remembered and honored their birthdays. We talked about that with Pharaoh in Egypt. The keeping of birthday records was important in ancient times, principally because a birthday was essential for casting of a horoscope. So a lot of times people focused on their birthday so they could figure out their horoscope. Why do people deal with horoscopes? Why would somebody want to deal with the horoscope? Somebody in the comments answer that question. It may kind of seem like a vague question, but when we're talking about in terms of a heathen, why would it be important for them to deal with horoscopes? Why would it be important for a heathen? Well, why would a heathen feel like it's important for him to deal with a horoscope? Remember, horoscopes will tell you about your love life. They tell you about your financial life, so-called. Um, Different things. You know, how's your day going to be? What's your week going to be like? Why would a heathen want to do that? Well, a heathen will want to do that because they don't have a God telling them or guiding them in their life. They don't have a God guiding them in their life. They have nothing to depend on. So they depend on the moon, the sun, and the stars, and they observe these things and they worship. Yep, because it's based off the gods that they worship. Right, the zodiac signs, things of that nature. All right, so let's go to Deuteronomy. Nope, not yet. All right, the word horoscope is derived from the Greek words scopus, meaning time, and observer, horoscopus. All right, no, aura, the Greek words aura, meaning time, and scopus, observer. So time observer. A horoscope, somebody that deals with horoscope, is somebody that observes time. Put that in your notes, all right? Or markers of the hour. It is used as a method of divination regarding events relating to the point in time it represents, and it forms the basis of the horoscopic traditions of astrology, all right? So these are the type of people that will worship time. They want to know about various events that will happen in their life. All right? So let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 4 and verse 19. Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 19. All right? Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 19. And lest thou lift up thy eyes, unto heaven, and when thou seest the sun and the moon and the stars, even all the hosts of heaven, shouldest be driven to worship them and serve them, which the Lord thy God hath divided unto all nations under the whole heaven. So again, in Deuteronomy 4, it's telling them that, hey, don't make these different idols, don't make these images, and then don't go to worship them. You're going to look up at the moon, look up at the stars, look up at these things. You're going to be able to begin to worship them. Why? Because that's what the heathens do. They don't understand that the sun was made for light. They don't understand that the moon was made for light at night and that it was for signs and seasons. They don't understand these things. We, the Israelites, understand these things. We understand the purpose of it. We don't need to go outside and worship the sun. Oh, this is the sun god. No. Oh, this is the moon god. No. We understand the purpose, why God created those things, and what they're for. The heathens will use these things and worship them. All right? So let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 17, verse 2 through 3. Deuteronomy chapter 17, verse 2 through 3. If there be found among you within any of thy gates, which the Lord thy God giveth thee, man or woman, that have wrought wickedness in the sight of the Lord thy God, in transgressing his covenant, and have gone and served other gods, and worshipped them, either the sun or moon, or any of the hosts of heaven, which I have not commanded, and it be told thee, and thou hast heard of it, and inquired diligently, and behold, it be true, and the thing certain that such abomination is wrought in Israel, then shalt thou bring forth that man or that woman which have committed that wicked thing unto the gates, even that man or that woman, and shall stone them with stones till they die. So God is saying right here that if you find somebody worshiping the sun, the moon, and all these different things, and it's told to you or you find it out, you need to bring them forth and pass judgment. So how many of y'all, though, live in a household where maybe you got a wife that don't believe, and she's still celebrating birthdays. She's still dealing with astrology, and you know it. She's still dealing with horoscopes, and you know it. You need to bring that thing forth. Now, quick disclaimer, you got to tell her to repent. You ain't no stoning and bringing her, oh, we're going to cast stones at my wife. No. Under Christ, we don't do that no more. But you got to make these things known. You can't just not let this sin continue to go on in your household. You know about it, and you're not dealing with it accordingly. Got to be dealt with accordingly. No, wife, this is what the scriptures say. You got to stop dealing with these horoscopes. That's a wicked thing. You're observing times. The Bible tells us not to observe times. You need to depend on God if you want to know about your future. You don't need to worry about these different gods that you're trying to idolize and worship. Stop. All right? Daniel chapter 2, verse 27. Daniel chapter 2, verse 27. All right? Remember, they look towards these horoscopes because they need a sign. They don't have a God giving them instruction. We do. Daniel chapter 2, verse 27. All right. The king answered and said to Daniel, whose name, no, wait. Yeah. The king answered and said to Daniel, whose name was Belteshazzar, art thou able to make known unto me the dream which I have seen and the interpretation thereof? So the king is asking Daniel, say, hey, can you make this dream known to me that I have interpreted to you? Can you make it be known? Verse 27. Daniel answered in the presence of the king and said, the secret which the king hath demanded cannot the wise men, the astrologers, the magicians, the soothsayers, show unto the king? But there is a God in heaven that revealeth secrets, and maketh known to the king Nebuchadnezzar what shall be in the latter days. Thy dream and thy visitations of thy head upon thy bed are these. So he was letting them know, hey, your soothsayers, your astrologers, those dealing with the horoscopes, your magicians, all these, they can't tell you the interpretation of the dream, but the Most High God can. God can give you that revelation. God is the one that reveals secrets. So if you have something you want to know about your life, pray to God and ask him. Don't be getting on Yahoo or Google, typing in your horoscope. Don't have that horoscope app on your phone. Oh, what does my horoscope say today? No, go ask God. Because remember, God is the one that's already predetermined your life. God is the one that can manipulate your life. So you can look at your horoscope one day and be like, oh, yeah, I'm about to cash in. And then God say, okay, you want to keep being wicked? You about to lose your job today. And your whole turn of the that's how God would work. And then you're like, oh, well, see, that wasn't the right horoscope because, I'm like, my birthday, it lines up on this day. And if, this day, some horoscopes say I'm a Cancer. Some say I'm a Gemini. So I'm going to go see what the Gemini say today. That Cancer ain't what it's about. That's how y'all be acting. You can't be like that. Just go to God and let God deal with you the way he going to deal with you. All right? Let's go back to Deuteronomy chapter 18. Deuteronomy chapter 18. All right? Deuteronomy chapter 18, verse 10 through 14. There shall not be found among you anyone that maketh his son or his daughter to pass through the fire, or that useth divination, or an observer of times, or an enchanter, or a witch. So I want y'all to think about something. Think about something that's very key, Abiel. You know how it always talks about us making our children pass through the fire to Molech, things of that nature? That was referencing us sacrificing our kids, right? Did our kids have any power to go against what we're making them do? No. So you'll say, well, I'm not putting my kid in a fire now. I'm not physically burning my kid to another god. But when you force that kid to celebrate their birthday, you are sacrificing your kid to an idol. You are causing them to be damned. When you make your kids celebrate Christmas, when you make your kids celebrate all these different holidays, these different pagan rituals, you are sacrificing your kid. It's the same thing, just got a different face on it. You got to stand up as a parent and stop doing that. That's why God said, there shall not be found any among you that maketh his son or his daughter to pass through the fire. Don't be sacrificing your kid. You don't be the one making them pass through the fire. You don't make them go and sacrifice them to these other guys. Don't make them be a part of that. Don't do that. It says, or that useth divination. You shouldn't be using divination, or an observer of times. That's the horoscope. That thing should not be being done amongst you. It says, or an enchanter, or a witch, or a charmer, or a consulter with familiar spirits, or a wizard, or a necromancer. For all that do these things are an abomination unto the Lord. And because of these abominations, the Lord thy God doth drive them out from before thee. All right? If you're doing these things, God is going to drive you. He's going to drive you out. He's going to kill us. He's going to have us be in the poor conditions that we're in now because we want to continue in all this wickedness. Don't do that. God wants us to depend on him. All right? Verse 13. Thou shalt be perfect with the Lord thy God. For these nations which thou shalt possess hearken unto observers of time. So he's saying you got to be perfect. But these other nations which you're going to possess, they hearken unto observers of time. They got to go deal with the horoscopes because they don't have a God that is instructing them and guiding them. All right? It says, and unto diviners. But as for thee, the Lord thy God have not suffered thee to do so. So God is not suffering us to do so. So don't do that. All right? So I went to the horoscope. We haven't gotten off track. I went to the horoscopes because that a part of people celebrating their birthdays, a lot of people will deal with their horoscopes as well. All right? A lot of people will deal with that. It all plays into itself. And then other civilizations, other nations, they took certain importance in their birthday because of the horoscopes. They had to know about their birthday. It was such an important day. Remember what I said earlier to the sister? I said, I hope that this class, as she begins to learn, will help take her mind further away from the day of her birth to where it's not so much of an important significance. Like I said earlier, there's days when my birthday comes up and I'll be like, oh, dang, is this day? Oh, I didn't even think about it. Or it may have passed and I'm like, oh, yeah, yesterday was that day. But I don't think about it. But if I was a heathen and I had to depend on my horoscope, you best believe that's what I would be doing. But I'm not. I'm the nation of Israel, so it don't matter to me. I don't care about that. All right? That's why I went there. Let's go to Leviticus chapter 20 and verse 6. Leviticus chapter 20 and verse 6. Don't worry, I got something for y'all. Don't drop off. We ain't done. Leviticus chapter 20, verse 6. And the soul that turneth after such as have familiar spirits, and after wizards, to go a whoring after them, I will even set my face against that soul, and will cut him off from amongst his people. So if you go after these sorcerers, these familiar spirits, these wizards, God is going to turn his back on you. God ain't going to deal with you the way he would deal with you if you worshiped him and were going after him. All right? He's going to turn his back on you. So don't do that. All right? Let's go to James chapter 1 and verse 5. James chapter 1, verse 5. All right? God is the one that gives us the knowledge. So we got to just go to God and ask God. You got to deal with no horoscope. James chapter 1 and verse 5. If any of you lack wisdom, let him ask of God, that giveth to all men liberally, and upbraideth not, and it shall be given him. But let him ask in faith, not wavering. For he that wavereth is like a wave of the sea, driven with the wind and tossed. For let not that man think that he shall receive anything of the Lord. A double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. So if you want wisdom, you want information, you want knowledge, go ask God. He's going to give it to you. Let's believe he's going to give it to you. Now, he's going to take you through some stuff, maybe some trials, maybe some tribulations, some things you got to learn. But God's going to give you that wisdom one way or another, but you just got to ask him for it. All right? Let's go to 1 Chronicles chapter 10 and verse 13. All right, we're going to find out how Saul was punished for dealing with the woman with the familiar spirits. 1 Chronicles chapter 10, verse 13. 1 Chronicles chapter 10, verse 13. So Saul died for his transgression which he had committed against the Lord, even against the word of the Lord, which he kept not, and also for asking counsel of one that had a familiar spirit, to inquire of it, and inquired not of the Lord. Therefore he slew him, and turned the kingdom unto David, the son of Jesse. Right? So imagine if Saul had went to God and truly repented to God, truly asked God, really trying to get right with God, God could have turned his circumstance and turned it around. But because he went the wrong way and went after the familiar spirits, he didn't want to go to God, he ended up getting bad news anyways. Then he ended up getting killed. So, for those of y'all want to turn to these horoscopes and think, oh, my birthday's so great, I'm this, I'm a Libra, I'm a Pisces, I'm this, I'm that. You turn into that instead of turning to God. God can punish you for that. All right? So let's move on. All right? So again, we're talking about the early Christians still. So besides rejecting birthday customs on account of pagan and spiritistic roots, God's servants of old likely rejected them on this principle as well. Why? These were humble, modest men and women who did not view their arrival in the world as so important that it should be celebrated. So remember, our forefathers and foremothers were told to be humble. They didn't think about their importance into the world, that it was so great that they had to be celebrated. Remember, a lot of our forefathers and foremothers were born into captivity. Think about this. If you know what the Bible says and how you're supposed to be in rulership, you're not supposed to be paying taxes. You're not supposed to be having certain diseases. Your families ain't supposed to be broken up. You're not supposed to have these heathens reigning over you. You're supposed to be in the kingdom, right? But then you're born and you realize, dang, my life ain't what it's supposed to be. I got bills out of the wazoo. My life is hard. I got this sickness. My family is broken. Why are you celebrating each day? Oh, I was born on this day. Hey, worship me. Nah. That day ain't even that important with what my people are going through. I want to get up out of here. I want to get to the kingdom. I want things to change. All right? So Job, a man who was perfect in the eyes of the Lord, his own kids sinned against God and celebrated their birthdays. All right. So you got what I want, Abiel? The other version, the easy English. You got some time. I'm gonna read the King James version. All right. So for those of y'all, we're going to Job 1:1. I'm gonna read the King James version because that's what we study, and then I'm gonna get another translation just to make it plain. Because you know how some people will be like, it don't really say that. You interpreted it that kind of way. I don't see it like that. You'll deal with some of your family members and friends and say, no, I don't see that. It don't say that. It don't say that. But we're going to see. All right? So let's go to Job 1, chapter 1. Job 1:1. Let's get an example. And if you can't find it, I'll just read it from here. But I just want them to be able to see it. Job chapter 1 and verse 1. There was a man in the land of Uz whose name was Job, and that man was perfect and upright, and one that feared God and eschewed evil. So Job feared God, and he hated, and he got rid of evil. When evil was around, he hated it. He eschewed evil. He didn't like it. Verse 2. And there were born unto him 7 sons and 3 daughters. So Job had 10 children. He had 7 sons, and he had 3 daughters. All right? Verse 3. His substance also was 7,000 sheep and 3,000 camels, and 500 yoke of oxen, and 500 she-asses, and a very great household, so that this man was the greatest of all the men of the East. So he had a great substance. He was greater than all the men of the East. Job was living a good life. All right? It says, verse 4, and his sons went and feasted in their houses, every one his day. Take note of that. They were feasting in their houses, every one his day. Now, remember what I said earlier. Remember, there were certain times when it started out that royalty celebrated their birthdays, right? Over time, it began where common people began to celebrate their birthdays. Right here is showing you that Job's sons, they would feast every one on his day. He had 7 sons. So every one of his 7 sons had a birthday. On their particular birthday, they went to each other's houses and they feasted. What did we read earlier about what the Persians did? They had certain food. What did we read earlier about what the Romans did? They had hedonistic parties with generous gifts. There was cakes. There was all these different things. There was feasting, all right? So it said, and his sons went and feasted in their houses, every one his day, and sent and called for their 3 sisters to eat and to drink with them. So they made a party. Not just me by myself. Hey, come over here, eat and drink with me. It's my day. Come eat and drink with me. All right? And Abby, I'm bringing this point up as well, because remember what I said earlier. Israel is slick. They said, I ain't got no cake. I ain't got no candles. They feasting though. Oh, it's just my mom and my sister coming over, just spend the day with me. We ain't got no birthday cake. Gotcha, Deacon. We ain't got no birthday cake. We ain't got no candles. They feasting. Everyone his day. You're being worshipped. Everybody, come on, man. God knows what's going through your mind. Don't think you can play with God and fool God. You, sisters, may be able to fool your husband. Husbands, you may be able to fool your wives. Kids may be able to fool your parents. You cannot fool God. Don't tote that line and think, well, I'm not making it look like it's a birthday. You know you celebrating your birthday. You know that feeling that you want because you've been having that itch for so many years. And it's like, I just need I need them to acknowledge this day. I need them to acknowledge this day. Why? Why do you want to pump yourself up to where you feel like one day out of the year, they got to acknowledge your day? I look at it like this, Abiel. You got people that will come around for one or two things. Either the day you were born or the day that you die. All the other days, they don't come around. And those 2 days they come around, they fake. They come on your birthday, they fake. They come on the day you died, they fake. They the ones crying and hollering, but they wasn't talking to you throughout the year, coming to visit you, doing none of that. They putting on a show. So, they come and give you a gift on your birthday. Well, why they couldn't do all that throughout the year? Because they want to put you on a pedestal. They want to feel like they doing something to worship you that day. Think about this. Think about it long and hard. Verse 4, and his sons went and feasted in their houses, every one his day, and sent and called for their 3 sisters to eat and to drink with them. And I got another thing. You got certain people, right, Abiel, where they may have had a child and they not in a child's life like that on a daily basis. But what do? They make it a habit to say, you know what, I ain't with my baby mama no more, and I don't really talk to my daughter like that, but it's her birthday, let me call her. That's fake. That ain't real love. That's fake. You checking a box. No, I don't. If I didn't call you the day before your birthday, I'm not calling you on your birthday. I just, no. Shut it down. I got an older daughter that doesn't live with me, and she know from way when she was young, no, I don't celebrate birthdays. Don't look to me to call you on your birthday. I'm not fake like that. I love you, and I love the Lord. But I'm not going to put you on a pedestal and worship you. No, I could call you any other day of the year. If I didn't call you any other day of the year, I'm not going to call you on your birthday to check a box. I'm not going to do that. All right? So let's go back to Job. I just wanted to make that point because y'all got to see people for what they are. Got to see people for what they are. Don't get caught in that trap. Do not get caught in that trap. All right? Verse 5. And it was so, when the days of their feasting were gone about, that Job sent and sanctified them, and rose up early in the morning, and offered burnt offerings according to the number of them all. For Job said, it may be that my sons have sinned and cursed God in their hearts. Thus did Job continually. So he got continually do this because they kept celebrating their birthday. They sinned and cursed God in their heart because what? They knew that celebrating their birthdays was wrong. They had another God. Remember, in Exodus 20, what we read, have no other gods before me. What happened when the time of the history of Egypt? That was celebrating the coronation of a god. So they're in there worshiping themselves. They called their sisters over to have a feast. You curse God in your heart when you do that. That's cursing God in your heart. Don't let your covetous spirit get a hold of you. Oh, I want something for my birthday. I want money. I want new shoes. I know it's my birthday. Anybody will give it to me because they feel sorry. Or they want to check a box. Hey, Annie, it's my birthday today. You know that, right? All throughout the years, she gave you not a dime, but on your birthday, you can call her and she come pick you up, give you money for your birthday, take you here, take you there because of your covetous mind. You're getting caught up in idolatry. Don't do that. Or if they come, you didn't even call. They just come and say, oh, why you didn't do this all throughout the year? You know I don't celebrate birthdays like that. Don't fall into that trap. God testing each and every one of us. Some people, maybe it's a brother and it's that sister at the water cooler. God's going to test him to see if he can keep his lust in check. Sisters, maybe it's you being submissive to your husband. God's going to check you to see if you can be obedient to your husband. You're going to go through various things. Some of y'all, you may not be making up idols in your house where you got an actual statue and a stone and a shrine where you bowing down to it, but God's going to say, do you want to worship yourself as a God? Do you want other people to worship you? Everybody got a birthday. In America, they celebrate birthdays. All you got to do is make a phone call. Everybody else around you's doing it. Why don't you do it? Don't fail that test because it's coming. You got to just pull back and say, nah, I'm going to worship God rather than men. The scriptures say that, don't it? We ought to worship God rather than men, right? We use that scripture to talk about don't worshiping other men, but first and foremost, you shouldn't be worshiping yourself. That's idolatry. Don't put anything before the Most High God. Satanists, what we read earlier, they do that. Don't fall into the category of a Satanist. All right? So did you get the other version? Let's pull it up. Now, for those of y'all that will be like, well, it just said his day. It didn't say birthday, Deacon, so I just don't see it. Well, for those of y'all that don't really like to read old English like that, or maybe it's a little too hard for you, they made an easy English version. So let's read the easy English version. All right. So, as y'all can see it on the screen, many years ago, a man lived in a place called Uz. His name was Job, and he was a very good man. He was fair to everybody, and he did the right things. He was afraid to make God angry, and he refused to do the wrong things. That's something that a child can understand. Job wanted to please God and not make him angry. Job had 7 sons and 3 daughters. He had 7,000 sheep and 3,000 camels. He had 500 pairs of oxen and 500 donkeys, and he had many servants. There was no one in the east part of the world who was richer than Job. It explained all the things that Job had. A second grader can understand this. Verse 4. Each year, Job's sons had birthday parties in their homes. Do you see that, Abiel? Yes. It said what? Each year, Job's sons had birthday parties in their homes. They had lots to eat and lots to drink. They always asked their three sisters to come. Okay, seems like it's lining up. After each party, Job would ask his children to visit him. He thought that they might have done wrong things, or perhaps they had wrong thoughts about God. So he would get up early the next morning and sacrifice an animal to God for each of them. They might have done wrong things, so he would ask God to forgive them for those things. Now, the wrong things was them celebrating their birthday parties. That's why, it's the birthday parties, because it made it plain right here. They had birthdays. They feasted. That other part, that's a Christian trying to give his own little spin to it. The easy English version. That's why y'all got to be careful with these different translations. I'm going to put the disclaimer out there. But I just wanted to go there to show y'all that birthday part plain and clear. Job went and made sacrifices because they had cursed God in their hearts. He knew that they was having birthday parties. That's how Job knew that they cursed God in their hearts. So he went and made sacrifices. Continuously had to do this. All right? Just wanted to make that plain. Was that plain to you, Abiel? Very plain. Very, very plain. So y'all stop. Oh, it said his day and it don't say birthday. No, you got to lust and you want to celebrate your birthday. That's why you twisting it, because it's plain. His day. You have your day, Abiel. Yeah. I have my day. Right. What did we say earlier? When it's their birthday, say it's my day, you can't do nothing to mess it up. It ain't your day today, buddy. It's my day. You have people that even have the same birthdays, like they may be twins or something. Man, why couldn't I have my own day? I don't want to have a birthday with you. I want my own birthday. Or you had the parents that they only had a certain amount of money, so they had kids that had birthdays around the same time period. So y'all gonna have y'all party together. One of them was mad, like, I can't wait till I get grown. I don't want to have parties with you no more. This is supposed to be my day. You got your own day. So it's plain and simple, Israel. Stop twisting and getting around the scriptures. God gonna deal with y'all. God's gonna deal with us. So let's make sure we on point. All right. All right. So they cursed God by blasphemy, turning from his word and not keeping his commandments. Deuteronomy chapter 5, 7 through 11. All right. Deuteronomy chapter 5, 7 through 11. Let me speed up a little bit. All right. So you have Origen of Alexander was a scholar, a historian. All right. He wrote over 2 centuries after the death of Jesus, followed this same line when he recorded a diatribe against the memories of birthdays, indicating that at the time of his writing, a day to remember the birth of Jesus was not part of the church calendar. So back when he wrote this, you didn't think about remembering Jesus' birth. The original Christians didn't do that. They didn't be like, oh, December 25th is Jesus' birthday. No, they didn't do that. It was never recorded. It was never told us to remember Jesus' birthday like that. All right? In his homilies on Leviticus, speaking on the aspects of birth, Origen states, not one from all the saints is found to have celebrated a festive day or a great feast on the day of his birth. Not one. Remember, I told you, every time we're going to talk about a birthday, it's going to be a heathen and something tragic going to happen to one of our people or somebody around us. You don't find no records of us doing it in righteousness, celebrating our birthday. You don't see that. Even we showed you right here. Job's sons, he had to go sacrifice because they was cursing God in their hearts. Job wasn't at the party. Think about this. That's their daddy. If they was doing something righteous, wouldn't Job be right there with them? So he could monitor them if they was doing some wicked stuff other than the birthday party? No, the whole party was wicked. That's why he wasn't there. All right. He recorded a diatribe against not one of all the saints is found to have celebrated a festive day or a great feast on the day of his birth. Not one is found to have had joy on the day of the birth of his son or daughter. So even our forefathers and foremothers, it wasn't like, now I'm not saying that the baby was born and they're like, oh, this is an ugly baby. Put it to the side. No, it was just not like a big, oh, it's his first party. Oh, bring in, do all this. Nah, our forefathers didn't roll like that. Okay, a child was born to me. Okay, it's a son. All praises. Oh, I have a daughter. Oh, okay, all praises. It's not like a big deal. Because remember, what does the scripture say about a multitude of children, Abiel? It says, you got it?
Yeah, it's not to rejoice over a multitude of children that, I'm paraphrasing, but that are wicked.
Yeah, a multitude of ungodly children. You having these kids, right? You don't know what your kid gonna turn out like. I'm pretty sure that Jeffrey Dahmer's parents was having plenty of birthdays. He turned out like you worshiping this kid. I'm going somewhere with this. You worshiping this kid from the time they born, and they gonna turn out to be the devil incarnate because they just act like demons. No, okay, you take happiness. Okay, I got a child. Cool. I'm gonna raise this child up, but I'm not gonna take pride in a multitude of ungodly children. How do some of us do that? You throwing a birthday parties every day, and they bad, terrorizing people. You having sweet 16s, and your daughter, you actually letting your daughter prostitute herself because she got a little boyfriend at the sweet 16 with her. Only sinners rejoice over this kind of birthday. Only sinners rejoice over that thing. Why? Because they counting the numbers. Oh, I'm this many old, I'm this many old, I'm this many old. You plan on dying one day. I plan on living forever. I don't need to count the days of my life. Because I know my life is a vapor. I'm here one day, going the next. All right? It says, for indeed, we find in the Old Testament, Pharaoh, king of Egypt, celebrated the day of his birth with a festival. Remember, we went over that earlier. And in the New Testament, Herod, however, both of them stained the festival of his birth by shedding human blood. Both of them shed human blood. Both of these heathens celebrated the day of birth, and they shed blood. But the saints not only do not celebrate a festival on their birthdays, but filled with the Holy Spirit, they cursed that day, after the example of Job, Jeremiah, and David. All right? Ecclesiastes chapter 7 and verse 1. Why would they curse their day? Why? Because remember, I said earlier, we were born into captivity. We were born into captivity. Our forefathers, so for those of y'all that are new, our forefathers understood regeneration. They understood that when your body dies, your spirit goes back to the Most High. The Most High will put forth a judgment to you and send you back to the earth. So for an example, you'll find in John 9, when the disciples asked Christ, they said, was this man born blind because of his sin or the sins of his parents? And Christ said neither. All right, but so that Christ could perform the miracle. So basically, God can judge you based on your past life. I mean, okay, give you an example. So say you had a spirit of lust and you couldn't have a covenant with your eyes, and you find yourself always looking at women, and or you was a woman always looking at men and getting caught up in fornication and stuff like that. God could be like, okay, you want to keep looking at these things you ain't supposed to look at? I'm gonna make you blind and send you back. So now you're blind. You come back as a baby and you're born blind. God judged you. So our forefathers understood regeneration. So that's how sometimes they would curse the day they were born. Like, I'm back? Oh, I gotta do this again? Dang. And I'm not saying that they have remembrance of these things, but through the scriptures, we understand regeneration now, right? I could say, dang, I have a rough life. Now, I don't know the past life I had, but I know I'm back here to do something right. Curse the day I was born. I'm in this captivity. I live in Babylon. I got to go through the stress I got to go through. That makes sense to y'all, all right? Ecclesiastes chapter 7 and verse 1. Ecclesiastes chapter 7 and verse 1. I hope y'all are enjoying the class. Type yes if you're enjoying the class. If you're not, just hold your peace now. Type no if you're not. If you're enjoying the class, type yes. If you're not, type no. Maybe I got to step it up. Maybe I ain't doing it just, Abiel. Ecclesiastes chapter 7 and verse 1. A good name is better than precious ointment, and the day of death than the day of one's birth. So it says a good name is like the precious ointment, and the day of death is better than the day of one's birth. The day of your death is better than the day of your birth. Why do you think that is? I'm going to tell you something. Remember when we got the example about the kid that is bad? Remember, you're working towards your good name, right? So if you start out as a child, you as a parent, you don't know how your kid's spirit is going to be. Me and my wife have conversations about our kid, and we like, okay, we hope he has a good spirit. We just had a baby. He's 4 months old. We hope he has a good spirit. We pray. We want to nourish it and do everything, but we don't know what spirit God gave him. So we hope that he does things where he can get older and have a good name. I hope myself personally, the things that I've done, make myself to have a good name, so that when I die, people will look at me and say, Deacon Shema was good. He was a good brother. He did this, he did this, he did that. Oh, he lived a righteous life. Okay, all praises. Cool. Our forefathers that died, you can look at their example and say, hey, David was good. Job was good. You couldn't know that before his birth. Job, you wouldn't know if Job was perfect before his birth. He had to work to that. He worked up to that, and now he has a good name. And it says, Job, a man in the land of Uz, was perfect. So that's why a good name is better than precious ointment, and the day of the death is better than one's birth. Because you got to work up to that good name. All right? Jeremiah 20 and verse 14. Jeremiah 20 and verse 14. Jeremiah 20 and verse 14. Cursed be the day wherein I was born. Let not the day when my mother bare me be blessed. So don't let this day be blessed. The day that she pushed me out, don't let this day be blessed. Don't even push no significance on that. That's what Jeremiah is saying. Cursed be the man who brought tidings to my father, saying, a man-child is born unto thee, making him very glad. And let that man be as the cities which the Lord overthrew, and repented not. And let him hear the cry in the morning, and the shout at the noontime. Because he slew me not from the womb, or that my mother might have been my grave, and her womb to be always great with me. Wherefore came I forth out of the womb, to see labor and sorrow, that my days should be consumed with shame. So I came forth out of the womb to see labor and sorrow. I got to work hard and be sorrowful, and then my days should be consumed with shame. Meaning, think about it. The condition of Jeremiah's people. He's seen the condition of his people, so he's not taking any pride in the day of his birth. So I don't want to see the destruction of my people. I don't want to have to go through these hardships that I'm going through. I was chilling and kicking it with the Lord in heaven. He has to send me to the earth and I got to see this? Oh, man. Nah, that's just a day. That's just another day. Don't let that day be blessed. All right? But again, like I said earlier, a lot of people that they have a sense of void in their life, they want to be worshiped. They want people to have a certain significance of them. That's why you think about like Mother's Day, Abiel, Father's Day. If you're not, I'm gonna be real. If you as a husband aren't taking care of your wife every day of the year, making your wife feel loved every day of the year, if the kids aren't making your wife feel loved every day of the year, then she's gonna think like, oh, Mother's Day should be important. Why is Mother's Day important if I acknowledge you as my mother and my wife every day, and we love each other and we have a good time every day? Why do I gotta then spend some extra time with you? Because that's what people do. They take Mother's Day, Father's Day, they ain't spend time with their mother and father all year, but this one day they clear their schedule and go do that with them. Same thing with the birthdays. It's fake. It's all fake. No, I can love you every day of the year, the same. This day is no different. I give honor to you like the scripture says. Simple as that. All right. Judith chapter 12. No, I don't want to go to Judith. Let's go to Job chapter 3. Let's go to Judith. I'm going to get us sisters an example. Let's go to Judith chapter 12, verse 17. Judith chapter 12, verse. We almost done, Israel. I got to get this out. I know I'm going a little long. Sorry, Abiel. I got to get it out, though. I'm seeing too many birthday shout-outs on Facebook. Judith chapter 12, verse 17. Judith chapter 12, verse 17. Then said Holofernes unto her, drink now and be merry with her. So this is Judith. She's going to kill Holofernes. All right? So he's there with her. She's in his tent. And he said, hey, drink with us. Be merry with us. So Judith said, I will drink now, my Lord, because my life is magnified in me this day, more than all the days since I was born. She's saying, I'm going to drink because my life is magnified in me more than all the days of when I was born. So she even puts no significance on the day she's born. This day is more important than the day I was born. Judith, our righteous foremother. All of y'all sisters got named Judith. Judith. She put more significance on that moment than on the day she was born. She's sitting in the tent with the heathen. Then she took and ate and drank before him with her maid what her maid had prepared. And Holofernes took great delight in her and drank much more wine than he had drunk at any time in one day since he was born. I want to make a point. Now, it doesn't line up with birthdays, but I want to make a point about when she was in the tent drinking. Judith, when she was going, was very wise. Judith brought her own provisions with her when she went to go see Holofernes. She had her own food and she had her own drink. All right? Now, first and foremost, sisters, y'all shouldn't be with men drinking in them type of situations anyways. But I understand that there are some sisters on here that are not fully repentant and maybe still partaking in certain lifestyles. You learn a lot from this scripture because, remember, he's drinking. He said he waited for this day. How many times have sisters been around men drinking and get offered a drink that got something in it and get taken advantage of. This sister, Judith, she says she took and ate and drank before him what her maid had prepared. She already knew what was in it. You can't slide nothing in my drink. You can't put nothing in my food. You're not going to take advantage of me. It says, then Holofernes took great delight in her and drank much more wine than he had drunk at any time in one day since he was born. All right, so he ended up getting drunk. I just want to put that out there as a message, sisters. Don't, you in them kind of situations, stay out of those situations. If you're in the type of situations, make sure that you watching what you drink and bring your own drinks and your own food. All right. Let's go to Job chapter 3 and verse 1. Job chapter 3, verse 1. Job chapter 3 and verse 1. And then to that point again, it doesn't have to necessarily be you in the club. I'm not saying that you're gonna be doing some ratchet stuff that you're doing. It's just if you're a sister in a situation, sometimes maybe you're getting to know a new group of friends. Make sure you bring your own food. That way you know what you're drinking, you know what you're eating, and you know, till you get to know them, till you prove the friend, and you get comfortable with that person. All right? Make sense, Abiel? All right. Job chapter 3, verse 1. After this, opened Job his mouth and cursed his day. And Job spake and said, so again it said his day, cursed his day. Same thing it said about his sons in chapter 1, it's saying about Job now. Cursed his day and said, let the day perish wherein I was born, and the night in which it was said, there is a man-child conceived. So brothers, again, if you don't want to go to the easy English version, go right here if you're trying to explain Job chapter 1 to somebody. And they be like, nah, his day, that don't mean his birthday. Go right here. Job basically said it. His day, let the day perish wherein I was born. The day perish wherein I was born. What is that? Your birthday. So you don't got to go to the easy English version. If you know the precepts, you could go right here. But if somebody don't want to hear the King James version, go there. But again, I say you got to be cautious with some of those translations because they be off. I was born in the night in which it was said, there is a man-child conceived. Let that day be darkness. Let not God regard it from above. Neither let the light shine upon it. Let darkness and the shadow of death stain it. Let a cloud dwell upon it. Let the blackness of the day terrify it. As for that night, let darkness seize upon it. Let it not be joined unto the days of the year. Let it not come into the number of the months. Lo, let that night be solitary. Let no joyful voice come thereon. Let them curse it that curse the day, who are ready to raise up their mourning. Let the stars of the twilight thereof be dark. Let it look for light, but have none. Neither let it see the dawning of the day, because it shut up not the doors of my mother's womb, nor hid the sorrow from my eyes. So Job is going through it. Job is going through it, and he's like, hey, this day I wish it never happened. Let this day be gone. Get rid of it. I can't take it no more. I got to get rid of this day. All right? So, again, showing you that our forefathers, they didn't put no high significance on the day of their birth. They didn't do it. All right? So down to the 4th century, Christianity rejected the birthday celebration as a pagan custom. So up to the 4th century, Christianity was rejecting it, but then, you know, against they formed with the pagans and started taking on their customs, and now it's not a thing for people in Christianity to celebrate their birthday. All right. The historian Josephus. A lot of y'all that have read the book of Josephus, he gives a lot of historical accounts about various things in the Bible. So if you get the complete works of Josephus, it's a very good book to get. All right, so the historian Josephus. The Jews in Christ's day knew God's attitude towards birthday celebration. They knew God's attitude towards it. Nay, indeed, the law does not permit us to make festivals at the births of our children. All right, this is Flavius Josephus. He's a historian, an Israelite historian. He's letting you know that God did not permit us to make festivals at the births of our children. God ain't with that. Stop it. It's wicked. It's sinful. Stop doing it. All right, Job showed you that. All right. So let's talk briefly about the meaning of the birthday hats. All right. Witches and wizards wore pointed hats. It is also sometimes believed that witches and wizards wore pointed hats because the hats were representations of the cone of power. So you've seen witches with them pointed hats. They believed that that was their cone of power. They were standing like a circle, and do their little chants and feel like they can get power through that. All right. When pagan rituals were performed, witches and wizards would gather in circular formations and draw energy from above and from the center of the circle, thereby creating a conical shape. All right. Egyptian royalty wore pointed hats. So again, the Egyptians, which birthdays originated from, they wore pointed hats. Only ancient Egyptian nobility were allowed to wear tall pointed hats as a symbol of their elevated status above their subjects. So, Abiel, when I was in the world and I used to go to birthday parties, the only person that got to wear that hat was the birthday person. They sat in the middle of everybody, so you knew they had that hat. And if everybody else had hats, theirs was different than everybody. Same thing. Only the royalty, only those that are in the godlike state, those that are noble, they get to wear that hat. So they could be elevated above their subjects. You putting that kid at that party, elevating them above everybody. That teaches them to feel like they above their brethren and their sisters. They act spoiled on their birthday. They act ungrateful. They be mean to people. Certain kids, that's how they act. Because that's the spirit that's on them. All right? These hats were ancient Egyptian crowns passed down pharaoh to pharaoh. And the different designs made individual pharaohs identifiable to their subject. They had different designs. Again, like I said, they had a special hat for the birthday boy and birthday girl. It was a different design than everybody else. So everybody knew who that person was. All right? Birthdays equate to royalty. The point of the cylindrical hat seems to be to elevate the wearer to the status of royalty. While in most places nowadays we don't have royal families running around in traditional garments, the act of celebrating royalty, which a person becomes on their birthday, transpires on their birthday. So you're celebrating them like they're royalty. You're treating them like a king. You're treating them like a god. You're really, you're putting them up on a high pedestal. That's what it is. And you can't be doing that, all right? So let's talk about the gift giving. In ancient Greek times, gifts were given to those celebrating their birthday as a way to get rid of evil spirits. So they would give gifts to get rid of evil spirits. Some of your kids is the evil spirit. They bad, they selfish, and you give them gifts. Here you go. Here you go, little Johnny. Here's a gift. Stop crying. They stop crying. They good. They also use noisemakers to scare away the bad spirits. Perhaps this is where the party poppers to celebrate birthdays came from. In Roman times, gifts were only given to men on their birthday. We talked about that in the Big 50. Women started celebrating their birthday sometime around the 12th century. So men would get gifts on their birthday in the Roman times. All right. So now we're at the end. We must come out of the ways of Babylon the Great, a.k.a. America. All right. Let's go to Revelation chapter 18 and verse 4. Revelation chapter 18 and verse 4. All right. If after this class you just don't get it, you need to pray and fast and examine your spirit and really think about your ways. Consider your ways. Remember, God tell Israel, consider your ways. Consider how you do. Revelation chapter 18, verse 4. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues. So come out of the ways of America. Stop so you don't be partaker of her sins. What are some of her sins? The custom of celebrating birthdays. All these things was passed down through synchronism, and now it shows up in America, and they give it to you as birthdays, and y'all are just cool with it. No, God says you got to come out of her ways, so you be not partaker of her sins, and you don't receive of her plagues. If you continue to celebrate your birthdays when Christ comes, you're going to get judged. Y'all see the plagues that God sent into the earth, COVID-19, famine. Y'all going to start seeing, y'all getting caught up in these birthdays, and you wonder why you be the first one on your job fired. You wonder why your company goes under COVID, because God is telling you stop celebrating birthdays. Stop celebrating these various traditions that you into here in Babylon the Great. Stop it. The prophets will tell you, but you don't listen to us. So God got to eventually get involved and say, you know what? You work at a restaurant such and such. Okay, I'm going to make the pandemic hit. Ain't nobody going to want to go to your restaurant no more. That's going to go out of business. Now you're going to be on unemployment and not going to be able to find a job. So you won't be able to buy birthday gifts no more. You won't be able to have parties at your house no more because you ain't got the funds no more. You're going to learn to listen to God. He's actually having mercy upon you. Or you can just continue to not listen to God, continue to not want to repent, continue to keep doing these things, and eventually God going to judge you. Oh, I got my stimulus check. Happy birthday to you. You want to party with your stimulus check, and now you can't pay your rent next month because you caught up in idolatry with your children. All right? Revelation chapter 17 and verse 2. Revelation chapter 17, verse 2. Um, Verse 1. And there came one of the seven angels, which had the seven vials, and talked with me, saying unto me, Come hither, I will show unto thee the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters. The great whore, the characteristics of a whore is a woman that goes from man to man to man to man to man to man to man, right? All over the place. Oh, I want this man for this. I want this man for this. Different characteristics of different men, right, Abiel? That's what whore is like, right? No regard for their body, no regard for the things that they take into their spirit, the things that they take into their flesh. They're just willing to give it up. When y'all be into all these different celebrations, that's whoredom. All these different forms of idolatry, you're taking on all these customs of these other nations. Caught up in the whoredom with Babylon. God is going to judge Babylon because what? Everybody can come here and do whatever you want to do. You want to be a Wiccan? Be a Wiccan. You want to be a Satanist? Be a Satanist. You want to be a Christian? Be a Christian. Want to be in Islam? Be in Islam. You want to celebrate birthdays? Do it. That's what they say. Come here in America and do it. Great melting pot, right? This is going to be judged. Verse 2, with whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth have been drunk with the wine of her fornication. They all committing spiritual fornication. They all trying to have a part of America. This nation, that nation. Oh, let me give you a bit of my customs over here. Turn it into something. Let me give you a bit of my customs over here. Turn it into something. All right? Y'all gotta watch it. Ezekiel chapter 16, verse 15. All right? We're going to close it out. Ezekiel chapter 16, verse 15. Let's find out what God said about Israel's unfaithfulness to him. We continue to be unfaithful to God, and let's find out how he describes us. All right? Ezekiel chapter 16 and verse 15. All right? Now, remember, we've read this before in a prior class from the verse 1 on to about 15. And we talked about how God brought us out of Egypt and he made us beautiful and glorious and put us in a royal state. Verse 15. But thou didst trust in thy own beauty, and playedst the harlot because of thy renown, and pouredst out thy fornications on every one that passed by. His is it was. So we committed whoredom with everybody that passed by, meaning every nation that we was around, we gave it up to. Oh, I want to be a part of you. I want to be a part of you. I want to be in this, and I want to be in that. Every little custom that they got, we partake in it. We commit whoredom with these nations. And God is talking to us raw right here, Abiel. He's like, y'all being whores. Every man, every nation that passed by, it was his. You just gave it up. You had no regard for yourself. It says, and of thy garments thou didst take and deck thy high places with diverse colors, and playedst the harlot thereupon. The light things shall not come thither, neither shall it be so. Thou hast also taken thy fair jewels of my gold and of my silver, which I have given thee, and madest to thyself images of men, and didst commit whoredom with them, and took thy broidered garments and coveredst them, and thou hast set my oil and my incense before them. My meat also which I gave thee, fine flour and oil and honey, wherewith I fed thee, thou hast even set it before them for a sweet Savior. And thus it was, saith the Lord. So we take the things, the resources God gives us, flour, honey, and oil, we make it up into a cake and we set it before the other gods rather than giving it to the Most High God. You'd rather make a birthday cake than make some unleavened bread as a simulation of Christ's body. You'd rather get drunk on the wine on your birthday rather than taking the wine and understanding the significance of Christ's blood. You would rather do those things. This is what God is saying right here. We'd rather take his resources that he gives us, deck our houses so we can have whoredoms with the other nations rather than giving ourselves to the Lord. Verse 20, moreover, thou hast taken thy sons and thy daughters, whom thou hast borne unto me, and these have thou sacrificed unto them, to be devoured in this of my whoredoms. Is this of thy whoredoms a small matter? So you took the sons and daughters that God has given you, that should be for him, and you've given your sons and daughters to be whoredoms to all these other idols and all these other nations. We can't be like that. These children that God gives us, we need to give these children back to the Lord, teach them the Lord's ways. Stop letting them get caught up in Babylon. So what, baby? We're done celebrating birthdays. If you just repent and your kid is 10 years old, you got to sit your son or daughter down and explain to them, we don't celebrate birthdays no more because it's against God. They're not going to like it. It's going to be hard. But you got to stand fast and don't be weak. Men, don't be weak. Women, understand who you serve. Over time, as they begin to understand, then maybe they'll come along and they'll not want to do it no more. But there may come a time where they just don't understand it. They get old, and then eventually the decision is going to be having to be made. Who you going to serve? You going to serve the other nations, or you going to serve God? They may choose to say, hey, I want to go celebrate Christmas. I want to celebrate birthdays. Then you have the choice. Got to say, hey, bye-bye. When they're of age, you got to go. You can't be here doing that. Can't do it. You're going to get judged. All right. Verse 21. That thou hast slain my children and delivered them to cause them to pass through the fire for them, and in all thy abominations and thy whoredoms thou hast not remembered the days of thy youth, when thou wast naked and bare, and was polluted in thy blood. And it came to pass, after all thy wickedness, woe, woe unto thee, saith the Lord God, that thou hast also built unto thee an eminent place, and hast made thee an high place in every street. You make altars and you make places to worship these other gods in every street. Thou hast built thy high place at every head of the way, and hast made thy beauty to be abhorred, and hast opened thy feet to everyone that passed by, and multiplied thy whoredoms. You multiplied your whoredoms. Now your beauty is not what it used to be. People will look at us, blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, those that have went through the slave trade, scattered in the four corners of the earth, and say, no, y'all not the Israelites. Y'all not the chosen people of God. Your beauty is abhorred. Why? Because you've played the harlot with all these other customs and all these other nations. We got to begin to separate ourselves, and they'll be saying, oh, these are peculiar people. They different. They don't do like everybody else. Something special about them. All right? It says, thou hast also committed fornication with the Egyptians, thy neighbors, great of flesh, and have increased thy whoredoms to provoke me to anger. Behold, therefore I have stretched out my hand over thee, and have diminished thy ordinary food, and delivered thee unto the will of them that hate thee, the daughters of the Philistines, which are ashamed of the lewd way. Thou hast played the whore also with the Assyrians, because thou wast unstable. Yea, thou also played the harlot with them, and yet couldst not be satisfied. We're never satisfied with just our God. We go to this person, this nation, this idol. You're never satisfied. You're all over the place. That's the spirit of a whore. All over the place, never satisfied. That would lead some women to whoredom if they're not satisfied with their husband. You can't be satisfied with the man God gave you, so you end up going off and committing whoredom. Why we can't be satisfied with God? The Most High God that was given to us, that's not given to any other nation. Just be satisfied with the things that he gives us. Be content with that. You got Sabbaths every week that could be a celebration. You got new moons every month that's a celebration. You got a different holy day, Purim. You got Feast of Dedication. You got Passover. You got Tabernacles. You got all these different days to send portions and things and celebrations for one another and to honor our forefathers and honor the Most High God. Why you got to take these different customs that have been synchronized from all these different other heathen nations, try to make that something and say, oh, this is the day of my birth, make me feel important. You know what? I feel important because God says that I'm an Israelite. And I come from the chosen nation, and I have a God that no other nation has. That's why I feel important. And I understand I got a service to serve my God. I don't need a special day to pump myself up to make myself feel proud and more important than what I really am. No. All right. Verse 29. Thou hast moreover multiplied thy fornication in the land of Canaan and unto Chaldea, and yet thou was not satisfied wherewith. How weak is thy heart, saith the Lord God. God says you got a weak heart when you're never satisfied. We got to gird up our minds and get strong. When you get strong in these scriptures and you build your mind up, you will no longer be weak. It says, how weak is thy heart, saith the Lord God, seeing thou doest all these things, the work of an imperious, whorish woman, in that thou buildest thy eminent place in the head of every way, and makest thy high place in every street, and hast not been as a harlot in that thou scornest hire, but as a wife that thou committest adultery with taking strangers instead of her husband. You are a wife that has committed adultery. You take strangers rather than your husband. You will rather deal with the other nations rather than dealing with the Most High God. We can't be like that. That's not the type of spirit to be like. All right? It says, verse 3, they have given gifts to all whores. They give gifts to all whores, but thou givest thy gifts to all thy lovers. So normally they would give gifts to whores, Abiel. But God is saying we give gifts to all of our lovers. We give them everything. We don't get nothing in return for our whoredom. You don't get nothing in return from Babylon by committing these whoredoms with Babylon. They don't do nothing. They still shoot you down in the street. They still killing you. You still the last hired in the first fire. You still at the bottom of society in poverty. Your children are still getting taken away. We still getting ridiculed. You get nothing for celebrating these whoredoms. You get nothing for committing whoredom with these other nations. This is what God is telling to the nation of Israel. We got to change our ways. You're not getting nothing out of it. It says, they give gifts to all whores. But thou givest thy gifts to all thy lovers, and hirest them, that they may come unto thee on every side for thy whoredom. You hire them. You give them gifts so they can come, and you want them to come so you can commit whoredoms. Come deal with me so I can commit whoredoms. Let me assimilate. I want to drink out of your water fountain. I want to be able to come to your establishments. I want to be able to shop at your store so I can buy birthday gifts at that place. I want to be able to have my son's birthday party at your establishment. That's how you do. You give yourself to commit whoredom. It says, and the contrary is in thee from other women in thy whoredoms. Whereas none followeth thee to commit whoredoms, and in that thou givest a reward, and no reward is given unto thee. Therefore thou art contrary. Nobody follows you to commit whoredoms. You give a reward. Like you want to commit whoredoms. That's what he's telling us as a nation. We want to commit whoredoms. It says, wherefore, O harlot, hear the word of the Lord. Thus saith the Lord God, because thy filthiness was poured out, and thy nakedness discovered through thy whoredoms with thy lovers, and with all the idols of the abominations, and by the blood of thy children, which thou didst give unto them, behold, therefore I will gather all thy lovers with whom thou hast taken pleasure, and all them that thou hast loved with all them that thou hast hated. I will either gather them round about against thee, and will discover thy nakedness unto them, that they may see all thy nakedness. So he's saying, I'm going to get all of your lovers. I'm going to get all these other nations that you committed whoredoms with, and I'm going to gather them around you, and I'm going to expose you so they can see your nakedness. Y'all got to understand something. I know y'all live in a time of Instagram models. I know we live in a time where things aren't really censored. You've been desensitized to certain things. You can turn on cable and see rated R movies. You can see a naked woman over here. This is shameful. Sisters, how y'all be showing y'all body on social media, this right here, what God is saying, Abiel, is shameful. To take a woman and put her in the midst of all her various men that she been with and let them see her nakedness is a shameful thing. But other people in like other religions where they keep their body completely covered and you can't see nothing but their eyes, they understand the significance of being modest and covered up. God is saying, because you commit whoredoms, I'm going to put you in the midst of everybody and let them see your shame. Now, aren't we in the midst of all these other nations that we commit whoredoms with, and they see our shame? They see the things that we go through. They can turn on the news and, again, see us being killed, see us being mistreated. They can see it. All right, it says, verse 38, and I will judge thee as women that breaketh wedlock, and shed blood are judged. And I will give thee blood in fury and jealousy. So the same way you would have judged a woman in the Old Testament for committing adultery and breaking wedlock is the same way God is judging us now. He's killing us and allowing us to be killed and abused because we commit whoredoms with these other nations. So when y'all be out in the street saying no justice, no peace, when is this going to stop? It's going to stop when you stop celebrating your birthday. It's going to stop when you stop celebrating Christmas. It's going to stop when you stop celebrating Halloween. When you turn back to the Lord and repent and start keeping the commandments, that's when things will stop. But when you continue to commit whoredoms and idolatry with these other nations, you're going to continue to have your nakedness be shown. You're going to continue to be judged like a whorish woman, like the Bible says. And again, I know some of y'all are sensitive, but I'm using the words out the Bible, Abiel. Just letting it be known. And I will judge thee as women that breaketh wedlock, and shed blood are judged. And I will give thee blood in fury and jealousy. And I will also give thee into their hand. And they shall throw down thy eminent place, and shall break down thy high places. They shall strip thee also of thy clothes, and shall take thy fair jewels, and leave thee naked and bare. Now they stripping you of everything and leaving you in the street naked and bare. Now, if this was to happen to a sister right now, everybody would be up in arms in the news, wouldn't they? This woman got abused and stripped and all this stuff happened to her. Let's persecute this man that did that. So the nations are doing this to us spiritually and physically. Why aren't we up in arms about our people saying, hey, you got to change your ways? Remember, God's doing this. He's explaining, he's giving this analogy of Israel because we were whorish. So he's saying, because you want to be whorish, I'm putting you and exposing you in this situation. You're going to get abused. If you didn't want to be abused, you would have kept yourself covered up. You would have stayed right there where your husband's at. What's with the husband, Abiel? When a woman is with her husband, what is there? There's that protection. You went and was acting like a woman that was committing adultery. That hedge of protection is no longer there. I'm going to put you in the midst of all your lovers, and now you're going to get abused. With God, there's that protection. All right? We almost done. They also bring up a company against thee, and they shall stone thee with stones, and thrust thee through with swords. And they shall burn thy houses with fire, and execute judgment upon thee in the sight of many women. And I will cause thee to cease from playing the harlot, and thou also shalt give no hire any more. So I will make my fury toward thee to rest, and my jealousy shall depart from thee, and I will be quiet, and I will be no more angry, because thou hast not remembered the days of thy youth, but hast fretted me in all these things. Behold, therefore I also will recompense the weight upon thy head, saith the Lord God. And thou shalt not commit this lewdness above all thy abominations. Behold, every one that uses proverbs shall use this proverb against thee, saying, as is the mother, so is the daughter. So the way you act, whatever your mother is, that's how the daughter going to act. So remember earlier in the first verse, I know we didn't read it today, but it said, your mother is a Hittite and your father is an Amorite. One of those. I don't remember if that combination is right. I'm not looking at it. But if you want to act like a heathen, you got a heathen mama, you want to act like a heathen, that's how you're going to be. This way a daughter looks up to her mother, that's how the daughter going to be. So if the mother want to expose herself on Instagram, that's how the daughter going to be. If your mother's out there celebrating birthdays, that's how the daughter going to be. Why? Because the mother is the one that's nourishing the kids, spending the most time with the kids. Remember what we read in Nehemiah? Well, we didn't read it, but when you read in Nehemiah, they had Israelites that were taking women of other nations. And the kids were born up and learning the language of the mothers. Why? Because the mothers were teaching them the foundational things early in life. So if your mother's doing these abominable things, you as a kid are going to end up doing those abominable things. This is what God is saying. As is the mother, so is the daughter. All right? Verse 45. Thou art thy mother's daughter, that loatheth her husband and her children, and thou art the sister of thy sister. So you're your mother's daughter that hates her husband and her children. You hate the Most High God because your family has told you to hate the Most High God. You hate your people because your family has told you to hate the people. That's what you was raised up like. You got to begin to change your way and say, no, I got to love the Most High God, and I got to love my people. Therefore, I got to do what God tells me to do and stop committing these whoredoms. It says, thou art the sister of thy sisters, which loathe their husbands and their children. Your mother was a Hittite, and your father an Amorite. And thy sister is Samaria, she and her daughters that dwell at thy left hand, and thy younger sister that dwelleth at thy right hand is Sodom and her daughters. Yet hast thou not walked after the ways, nor done after their abominations. But as if that were a very little thing, thou wast corrupted more than they in all thy ways. So even though you didn't do the Sodom things you were doing, you were still corrupted in your ways as well. You still have your off ways that you need to repent of. All right? As I liveth, saith the Lord God, Sodom thy sister has not done, she nor her daughters as thou hast done, thou and thy daughters. Behold, this was the iniquity of thy sister Sodom. Pridefulness of bread and abundance of idleness was in her and in her daughters. Neither did she strengthen the hand of the poor and needy. And they were haughty and committed abominations before me. Therefore I took them away, and I saw good. All right? So we're going to end it right there. Y'all can finish reading that chapter. Go back and read the whole chapter from the first verse and really get the understanding of how God felt when we're unfaithful to him. God really takes that thing serious. God takes that thing serious. So sisters, you got husbands. Imagine your husband will feel a certain type of way if you was unfaithful to him. But God even so more. Remember, he told us, I'm a jealous God. God is a jealous God. So we got to really be on point. Sometimes, certain sisters know that their husbands will be like, well, making sure who's on your phone, who you texting, who this, who that. God is kind of the same way. You got to make sure that you're on point. You don't want it to look a certain type of way. You want to make sure that you're on point with God. All right? Make sure we're on point with God. And again, don't try to, finagle around it. Oh, I don't got the birthday cake. I ain't got the candles. All right. God is a jealous God. He knows the whole spirit behind what you're doing. You don't want to get caught up celebrating them birthdays. So I pray that everybody enjoyed the class. I pray it was edifying. Any questions pertaining to the class? I thank y'all for sharing the class. Again, share the class from Facebook. Share it on YouTube again. I know some people couldn't catch it live, but some people need to hear it, on the back end tomorrow. First thing when they wake up, boom, share the class with them. So all praises, all praises, all praises. All praises, Sister Cree. Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Definitely share it with people. Even though you stopped, there's somebody else that needs to hear it as well. All right, somebody else that needs to hear it, and hopefully they wake up, and hopefully it's edifying. All right, and again, even if you stopped, come back and watch this class again over time. Because that's one thing that happens with us, Abiel, is we kind of get complacent and comfortable, and feel like, oh yeah, I know that. I ain't gotta kind of brush up on it. But Satan can get anybody. He's always coming out with more information or another way to twist things, and you think it ain't evil, and you get caught up. Or you might see an Israelite group saying happy birthday, and you're like, oh, Israel be saying happy birthday? Well, I want to go over there and join them. And before you know it, you celebrating your birthday. Remember what this class talked about, all right? Don't get caught up in that. Satan got many devices, and he'll use different ways to get you pulled back into that trap, all right? All praises, Brother Yakidin, all praises. I'm glad you enjoyed it. All right? You got any last words, Abiel?
Not much, man. I just pray that Israel took heed to this class, whether you new or you old in the faith. Like the deacon said, share the class, share the class. There's somebody that can use this knowledge, man. So, again, share the class, share the class. All praise to the Most High.
Absolutely. We're going to start doing more classes like this, Israel. Really getting on to these wicked, vain traditions of men. Christmas, we're going to really dissect that thing as well and just start going into it. I know y'all probably was like, where is this stuff? I want to know about these things. We in the process of building, and the other things was took precedent. We definitely going to get on these things now as we got newer spirits coming in. We got brothers and sisters beginning to be tempted by these things. It's going to kind of, re-edify y'all and bring y'all, back to the understanding of what God really requires of us, all right? With that, there's nothing against blowing out candles. Well, I shared it to him. My cousin who's in the truth said there's nothing against blowing candles out. Well, I shared it to him. Well, I guess I got to get more information. He's talking about on the birthday cake or just candles, period. Like if you just got a candle and you just blow it out. Is that what you're talking about? I don't want y'all to think. So again, I don't want y'all to think that if I was to light a candle, then I can't go just blow a regular candle out. On a birthday, okay. Oh, yeah, on a birthday, okay, good. Yeah. Definitely share it with them. Yeah, there's again, it's the whole symbolism behind that. You got the cake, you got the candle on the cake. All that stuff has symbolism behind it. Now, if I just got a candle right here and I'm using the candle for light, and I don't no longer leave the candle, or I'm using it for sin, I can blow it out. It's not, I'm not worshiping anything like that. So yeah, definitely don't do it on a birthday. That's why. Again, ask him why. If you want to do it on a birthday, why? Where did it come from? What's the origins of it? He got to give you an answer. We already seen where the origins come from. Witches, Wiccans, and they worship in Artemis. All right, Israel. Tune in tomorrow's class. We got Elder Azaniah. Is going over emergency preparedness. It's going to be a good class. I hope that y'all filled out his survey that he gave out for his class. All right, definitely going to be edifying. I thank y'all for joining me again. I love y'all, Israel. Stay in the spirit of the Lord. Continue to make yourselves better each and every day. All right, shalom. Most High Christ bless.
Giving them life, we giving them life. I'm yelling out, true spirit of Christ. See the wool in my hair, the red in my eyes. I'm blacker than night. We praising the Lord for your Habasha sacrifice. See we win in the end, but until then we giving them life. We giving them life. I'm yelling out, true spirit of Christ. See the wool in my hair, the red in my eyes. I'm blacker than night. We praising the Lord for your Habasha sacrifice. See we win in the end. Until then, we giving them life. Don't worry what the rest of do, just manifest the best in you, prepare to overcome. When life throws a test at you, in life you can't succeed if your mind is filled with fear. You thinking about the failures that you had all year, but your failures and your trials will only make you stronger. Came up short of the mark, next time push a little farther. Been deceived in the game, next time play a little smarter. Trying to break through a wall, then hit a little harder. We fail to reach our goals cause we don't think that we can make it. You notice all your flaws, but you fail to see your greatness. You miss the opportunity cause you're too afraid to take it. You think about what you're lacking, but forget the things you made with.
We giving them life, we giving them life. I'm yelling out, true spirit of Christ. See the wool in my hair, the red in my eyes, I'm blacker than night. We praising the Lord for your Habasha sacrifice. See we win in the end, but until then we giving them life. We giving them life, I'm yelling out, true spirit of Christ. See the wool in my hair, the red in my eyes, I'm blacker than night. We praising the Lord for your Habasha sacrifice. See we win in the end.